Hello. Jeez, I'm having technical issues today. Hi. Hello, can you guys see me and hear me? What is up? Yes, we're good. Oh, well, let me see. I'm getting a new setup, so sorry if I am having technical issues, but hello, it is Friday, and you know what that means. We're going to get through some true crime, and then we're going to have some fun on the second channel. So definitely make sure you are subscribed over there. And hello, welcome. If you don't know who I am and this is one of your first times here, hello, I am Melly. Welcome to my true crime channel. We are back. Please hit the like button. Do all of them things, all the YouTube thingies, hype, like, subscribe, notifications. I do go live throughout the day, never a set time, just whenever there's something I need to talk about, and I put it all together. So for today, we are talking about the Rebecca Parks case. And I do want to give a trigger warning before we get started. It's a very brutal case. It does involve a murder, and it does involve a lot of violence. So just a trigger warning. I know most of you are probably familiar with this case. I've been kind of just keeping my eye on it all week, and I figured, okay, I got all the affidavits, so I think it's time to go through this. What we're going to do here is I'm going to give you like my little spiel. We're going to review a timeline, and then we're going to read the affidavits. There's quite a few since there's a lot of people involved in this. The longest I think is like 3 pages. So that's nothing. We'll get through it really quick. And I do have all the interviews from the family prior to Rebecca's body being found. So I don't want to make this live too long. I might want to make it separately because there's like 7 of them, and I'm determined to get through all of them. So I'm going to make a playlist for the Rebecca Park case because we're going to play those interviews throughout. I do have another live scheduled for later, and that is Stephen Stearns. And I do have another live on the second channel. So please make sure you go and subscribe over there. That's a fun kind of type of channel. So you're strictly true crime, that's fine, babes. Just stay here on this channel. But if you want to get involved in the giveaways and fun times and buzz balls and all of that, that's over on the second channel. So definitely make sure to subscribe. It will be the first time we're live tonight for a longer period of time. So like I said, I'm going to pull up a PowerPoint that I made, and then we'll get into the affidavit, but I'll give you guys a little background on the Rebecca Parks case. And hello, everyone. I just want to say hi to everyone. I saw Abuelita's Debbie. Horse Lover became a new member. Thank you, Horse Lover, for becoming a new member. It's a great way to support the channel. I hope you enjoy it. We do have members only stuff coming out, and 𝗕𝗔𝗗𝗏 content is going to be members only. So I hope you enjoy. As far as like the calls with no commentary, I saw hello in here, and I saw Cree. I saw Debbie. Hello. Mary Beth. Another extremely sad case. Yes, I know. TGIF, I know. I'm happy it's Friday too. I don't know how a sister and mom could fool around with the lover of the other sister. I guess that's what happened when you do drugs too much and no morals or common decency. Yes. Exactly. And thank you, Mary Beth, for being here. And clearly Shelly, Rabbit's recommendation sent me here. Oh, yay! I love me, Rabbit. Thanks for being here, clearly Shelly. I hope you enjoy it. Welcome to Mellyverse. I am Melly. I appreciate you being here. And Q says liked. Okay, cool. Tippy, I saw Tippy pop in. Okay, cool. So this is Rebecca Park on the screen. So who is Rebecca Park? Rebecca Park is a 22-year-old out of, I forget the city. I know it's in Michigan, Wexford, I believe. And hello, InstaJustice. So she's out of Wexford, Michigan, and Rebecca was found dead in a wooded area in, like I said, northern Michigan in November after being reported missing for more than 3 weeks. She was pregnant. She was 38 weeks pregnant, and her body was found on November 25th, 2025. So make sure you are keeping track of the family tree, because it's like that other case. I recently covered it. It had a bunch of family members involved. There's like a whole family tree thing here going on. So I will get through that in depth in just a second. So what happened to Rebecca, she was found in a wooded area, stabbed to death, and her baby was cut out of her womb. And it's extremely brutal. I don't this case is blowing my mind, but I did want to make note that, this isn't the first case where a baby has been cut out of a womb before. There was the or Ochoa Lopez case back in Chicago, I think in 2024. And there's also another one, I can't think of the name, but it's not the first case where a baby is come out of the womb, but it is very, very, very brutal. Um, and so she was stabbed. She was found stabbed. Prosecutors say she was tortured and the baby was cut from her womb. The family tree. So Rebecca's 22. She's the daughter of Cortney Bartholomew and her stepdad, Bradley. So she was raised by a couple who adopted her and her siblings. Richard, the boyfriend of Rebecca. So it's already getting confusing. So Rebecca is the one that was murdered. Her mom is Courtney. Her stepdad is Bradley. And then her boyfriend / baby daddy is Richard. And then she has a sister by the name of Kimberly. So there's a lot going on here. Richard, who got Rebecca pregnant allegedly and was the baby dad, he was having a relationship with her sister and the disgusting mother. So this is, it could be basically motive. Yeah, I know. Why would your mom be sleeping with your baby daddy? I don't really know. I cannot give you anything but my opinion because I have not been through that. So yeah, I have many concerns. I think this family, a lot of people, okay, so a lot of people are like, was it a cult before we get started? Like, is it a cult thing? And I'm like, no, 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 no. This isn't a cult thing because cults are very disciplined in a sense. If you know about them and you actually know the history behind them and what they stand for, they usually have a lot of discipline in this. I think this was just a combination of rugs and mental health issues. I don't really think it was like a cult thing. Although I have seen that on a lot of the Reddit forums, but nonetheless, so on November 3rd, Courtney and her husband, Bradley, Rebecca's stepdad, they lured Rebecca and the baby. She's expecting a baby at 38 weeks pregnant. Here in California, at 38 weeks pregnant, that's basically a life. So they would charge you here for murder times 2. I'm not exactly sure on the legitimate facts about the cases in Michigan, but it is on the affidavit. So we can get the information from there. But nonetheless, it's horrifying. So they lured Rebecca to their Wexford, Michigan home. And that is when officials say that the couple, they tortured Rebecca in an attempt to remove the unborn infant, resulting in the death of both. So why would they want to do that? They're sick in the head, first of all. And then second of all, I think they were gonna sell the baby or did sell the baby. I don't know, maybe the baby's dead somewhere in a wooded area, but maybe they thought they could sell the baby. I know it sounds really bad. Nasty freaks. Dude, this is way, way over beyond. How you cut a baby out of a mother's womb like this, I'm just shook. I'm shook. It was like a torturous C-section, you know what I mean? And I've never had that, so I wouldn't even know, but I'm horrified. I'm horrified, horrified, horrified. So they lured her, so they tortured her and they cut out the baby. Bradley brought Rebecca to their home, allegedly, and forced her into the vehicle. And they took her to the woods. They stabbed her to death. They forced her to lie on the ground while they cut the baby out. And the baby has not been found. It is alleged that it was a baby boy. And I believe Rebecca had given the baby a name, maybe Richie, if I'm not mistaken. I might be wrong about that, but don't knock me. Everything is alleged here. Everyone is, I guess, innocent until they have their day in court, but whatever. And so they basically caused the death of the baby in her when this was happening. So now Rebecca's sister is Kimberly, and Rebecca's sister and Rebecca's fiance, they both were charged and arrested. And they're currently out on bail on house arrest. So that's another whole conversation. Do they deserve that? Probably not. So what did the sister do? So Kimberly is Rebecca's sister, and she was basically lying to police. She was charged with concealing facts about the murder, and the fiance was charged with a methamphetamine related charge. So they haven't charged him for murder just yet, or maybe they have. I'm not sure at the time. This is just like research I've been doing, but we'll read the affidavit. I don't believe murder is on one of the charges on there yet. But he was arrested for a methamphetamine charge, and he was on a $1 million bond. So to me, that's crazy. Her own sister. Yes, her own sister. On the screen here, you're going to see this is Cortney and Bradley Bartholomew. This is her mom, and this is her stepdad. These are the two people who did this to her. Because if they haven't charged the fiance, then he wasn't involved. He might have been involved to some extent. And same with the sister concealing the facts. And that's a whole nother thing too, is like, why would her own sister lie and conceal facts? Well, just remember that they were all sleeping with the same man. And is it worth to go to prison for over a man? Absolutely not. Never. Actually, but when there's drugs involved and no morals, and you come from a shitty background, and which many of us have, but doesn't mean you have to cut a baby out of someone. Nonetheless, I feel like that could have been a motive. Maybe the stepdad was pissed that Cortney was sleeping with Rebecca's boyfriend, so he was like, let's do this. Allegedly, the mom here on the screen, beautiful mother Cortney here, she actually was caught telling law enforcement, one story, and then she was texting others and saying that, she had a baby. So she was basically, in my opinion, going to say that that baby was hers. I don't know. It's sick. Yeah, Cortney is having a bad day. Very bad day. Scary. No. Yeah, poor girl. So now you're caught up on the parents. I know. It's terrifying. Let's look into a little bit of Cortney and Bradley's background, because before we get into the affidavit and whatnot, this isn't their first time involved with law enforcement or crime. They have been in the system for a very long time. And how a mother could do this to her own child and grandchild, it's demonic, but I don't think it's like I said, I don't think it's like a cultish thing. Obviously jealous of the poor girls. Well, I know. So let's look into their background. So Cortney, I said, worst mother of the year aside from Jen Soto. So please hit the like button if you agree with that. Cortney Bartholomew criminal record. So let's see. 2019, she has a charge for allowing another person to operate in violation of the vehicle code. I don't really know what that is. 2020, lying to a peace officer, which was 2 convictions. 2023, unlicensed dog, unlawful plate in 2004. I'm sorry, 2003 and 2004. 2005, failure to report an accident. And then a DWLS. And then she has another one for financial transaction device fraud withdrawal, $200 to $1,000. And then another DWLS. What is that? Is that something driving under the influence? Driving while license suspended. Okay, I should have known that. Driving while license suspended. So they both have, their involvement with crime. This isn't nothing new to them. So in one of the interviews that we're going to be covering, like I said, there's 7 interviews that I want to cover. And I think we're going to have to do them in separate lives because they're all like an hour long. and their interviews that the family members gave prior to Rebecca being found. So you basically catch all of them lying, making up stories. Nothing is making sense. They're not telling people and the people who's interviewing them the same thing as they're telling law enforcement. So they're basically all lying. But Cortney here, I think she has an issue, the mother. I think she's mentally unwell, like really, truly. Not only do I think she's addicted to meth, but I think she's really mentally unwell because um, she lost custody of her children, and that was the 2 girls, and she has 2 boys too, 25 and 14, and 14 years old. And in one of the court documents, they tried to explain to her that she could not be having sex offenders around her children because Bradley, her husband, which is Rebecca's stepdad, is a known sex offender. And this mother has a bad habit of continuing to let these predators into her home around her children. So that was documented in one of the family court documents. Bradley was not allowed to be near minors, and Cortney still allowed it. Even till now, her 14-year-old son has been around him. So they're already breaking the law there right now. She has had, like I said, previous relationship with SOs. And when Rebecca was about a year old, Cortney, the lovely mother here, tried to drive off of a bridge with both of the girls in the car. Why she still had custody of them, we talk about the justice system when it comes to children and child protective services. I don't even believe that's what they should be called anymore because I don't think they're protecting children. I don't know why she was allowed to have them after that incident. And shout out to our Saint, member for 13 months. Yeah. You've been here a long time. I appreciate you all saying. Good friend of the channel. Oh my goodness. I know, Q. I know. Meth psychosis is so bad, but this looks like something else. I agree. It blows my mind. Yes, Buzzballs tonight for all Saints, 13 months. On the second channel. Yeah, so that's the mother. Okay, and now let's get to the stepfather, who the mother decided to date, who actually participated in the baby. So here's Bradley, the repeat SO, sex offender. I know YouTube doesn't like those words, but I'm being a rebel lately. So this is Bradley Bartholomew, and his criminal record involves driving with license suspended in 2010, 2011 criminal sexual conduct, 3rd degree. I don't know. I think it's the psychology behind why mothers keep going back to men like this. It really blows my mind. Why would you want anyone involved with hurting children around your children? I can't comprehend it. I think it's okay if we can't comprehend it too, because it means that it's not normal. It's not a human thing. And we shouldn't understand that. 2011 larceny, $1,000 to $20,000. And then attempted larceny of building and joyride, also in 2011. And then 3 more charges for driving without license or driving with license suspended, 3 more of those. And then again in 2014, there was a failure to comply with sex offender registration. So he failed to, register as an SO. So this is Bradley. So this disgusting man here and then this disgusting lady here are the ones who cut Rebecca's baby out of her womb, her mother and her stepfather. Is Bradley the father of Kimberly's baby? I was thinking this was a possibility, that it could have been a motive, but again, they have not found the baby or the remains of the baby. So where the hell is the baby? Allegedly, Bradley put the baby in a cooler and they disposed of the cooler, I guess, in the woods. Did they bury the baby? Did they throw the baby in a swamp? Did they sell it? We never know what they were into. They were involved with drugs. A lot of women with offenders are offenders themselves, not caught, says Q. Yeah, I could see that. So on this next slide, who is this? So this is the baby daddy, allegedly right here. This is Richard. I don't know what's going on in this home, and I don't know why someone as beautiful as Rebecca was involved with this, but I guess, you're accustomed to what's in your environment. I'm just like, what is this on the left here? And then her sister on the right. Yeah, both of them. Yeah, winners. I know. I don't. I'm confused. Um, so the family drama, relationships, and the deliberate misinformation. So basically, the last person to see Rebecca was her mother, Courtney, who I just showed you. And Courtney said that around 11:30 p.m. on November 3rd, a car pulled up outside of her home. Rebecca allegedly said to her, "Hold on, I have somebody to pick me up." I think this is all a lie, by the way, at first. And this is just something I've got to do. I'm sorry. So they're making it seem like Rebecca got into someone's car and was in some type of mood. Um, and she was said to have gotten in that car and was never to be seen again. Both of Courtney and Bradley's phone, though, was pinned at the location where Rebecca's body was found. So that's how they ultimately, law enforcement caught on to them, and now it's a whole thing. So Kimberly reports her missing, the sister, but her story kept changing. Kimberly told police that she blamed Rebecca's boyfriend, Richard, because they were going to try to throw suspicion on Courtney and stepfather. I don't know. I don't really understand that. I guess maybe to take suspicion away from them. But Kimberly did say that it was initially Richard, which is the baby daddy who got methamphetamine charges, not murder charges yet. And Kimberly kept lying to police. That's why she got that charge. She kept giving different versions of what happened. And then she said, Kimberly said that Richard admitted to her about killing Rebecca. So they're all a bunch of liars, and it is what it is, right? So also initially, both of them blamed Courtney, and they said that the sister says that Bradley struck Rebecca in the head and caused a seizure, and a friend came and took the body away. But then after the body was found, the story was different. So that's how law enforcement realized she was lying. I know it's a lot of stuff going on here right now. You almost have to take notes. Bradley says, then Bradley is, so basically they're all blaming each other. Once the body is found, now Courtney is blaming Bradley. Bradley is blaming Courtney. The daughter is now wanting to come clean because she probably got told you're going to be incarcerated for the rest of your life, et cetera, et cetera. So now she wants to, get that, collect 200 and get lesser charges. And then Richard, allegedly, they have not charged him with anything related to the murder yet. But then, so Bradley then blames Courtney while incarcerated and says that Courtney stabbed Rebecca and that she performed the brutal C-section because she wanted the baby for herself. I know there's a lot going on here. Courtney blames Bradley, and she blames Bradley because I guess it was revenge for Richard. Because remember, the mom is sleeping with Rebecca's baby's father, and she's married to Bradley. So they're all like sleeping with each other. It's really gross. I think as of today, there have been no murder charges for Richard, only drug charges, because it is Courtney and Brad that I think are being held responsible. Rebecca is alleged to have been put into a truck, driven to a remote area, stabbed, and they performed a brutal C-section on her. The baby did not survive. The baby has not been found, and Rebecca was found brutally murdered. And so, like I said, now those two cowards are turning against each other and blaming one another. I think trying to set up Richard as well. So now that you have the whole background on the story, I know. Favorite Melly line. Everyone is presumed innocent until they have their day in court, but whatever. I like that, to be. And okay, so you got my little background, and now I'm going to play a video from Law and Crime just because it gives you a little background on the case, and then we'll get into the timeline, and then we'll get into the affidavit. And like I said, we'll do the interviews on a separate live tomorrow with the mom, because they all gave interviews too. So none of them knew how to shut the hell up. Bruce Rivers is like one of my favorites, and he always says like, don't self-snitch. Like they self-snitched. They did interviews with like YouTube podcasters when Rebecca went missing. and they all told misinformation and lies. And then her body was found, and then they had to change her story. And it's like, well, because you have a big fat mouth and you try to make it look like you were innocent, but now it's backfiring. So I want to play a video with Jessie from Law and Crime, and then we'll get into the affidavits, which are brutal and give all the details of everything. So let me pull up this video. And this video from Law and Crime just gives it's fairly short, but I like because they do cover a lot of what I just read in this PowerPoint. And then, like I said, we'll go through a different timeline in just a second.
Wexford County, Michigan, that we got to talk about. Now, if you've been following us here at Sidebar, you're going to remember this one. At the center of the allegations is Rebecca Park, a 22-year-old woman who was 38 weeks pregnant when she was reported missing in early November. And what police describe as a desperate missing persons case is alleged to have quickly spiraled into a nightmare of murder, lies, betrayal. The charges, as filed by prosecutors, this is what it alleges: that Rebecca's body was found weeks later in a wooded area. An autopsy cited in the affidavits indicates that she had been stabbed multiple times and her baby had been cut from her womb. The investigation, according to the court documents, led detectives through a tangled web of family drama and secret relationships and what they characterize as a flood of deliberate misinformation. Now, initially, the investigative focus turned to Rebecca's own sister, Kimberly Park, who first reported her missing. The affidavit for Kimberly's arrest shows that her story kept on changing. She eventually allegedly admitted to lying to police, stating she was fed false stories by Rebecca's boyfriend, Richard Fowler, to throw suspicion onto their biological mother, Cortney Bartholomew, and her husband, Rebecca's stepfather, Bradley Bartholomew. Now, Kimberly's arrest affidavit includes her alleged confession that Fowler told her he killed Rebecca. But crucially, those specific murder allegations against Fowler appear to have gone nowhere. The murder charge that he was initially facing, open murder, that seems to have been dropped. The case against him seems to have stalled. At least for now, he is facing drug charges, but authorities say it's Cortney and Brad who are responsible. According to detectives, this was just the first layer. The more severe allegations are in the charging documents for Bradley and Cortney Bartholomew. They're both charged with first-degree murder, torture, unlawful imprisonment. There's other charges as well. The probable cause affidavits supporting those charges are chilling, to say the least. They allege a story of premeditation, of a plan to get Rebecca to their home. The documents detail how, according to the conflicting accounts that Bradley and Cortney later gave police, that Rebecca was put into a truck, driven to a remote trail, stabbed, and then, while she was there, allegedly still alive, subjected to basically a cesarean section to remove her baby. The baby, the documents state, did not survive, but the baby has not been found. And a particularly shocking element within the affidavits in the description of Bradley and Cortney once in custody, this is immediately now, they're turning on each other in separate interviews. They're pointing the finger at one another. Their recorded statements, as summarized by detectives, it presents this macabre he said, she said, each blaming the other for the stabbing and for cutting the baby out. One claims it was a revenge plot against Fowler. The other claims it was about stealing the baby. The detectives' notes from those interviews lay out what they describe as a scene of cruelty. So the allegations present a scenario involving a murdered young mother, an infant removed from her womb, dead, a sister who confessed to lying to police, allegedly, a boyfriend implicated by others in the cover-up, and the birth mother and stepfather seemingly accusing each other from their jail cells. So you want to see how detectives allege that they piece this whole case together? I know it's complicated. Well, the court documents, especially those probable cause affidavits, provide their raw, unfiltered narratives. It's all in the documents to help us make sense of this, or try to make sense of this legal maze and the shocking allegations.
Okay, so you guys get the deal there. You guys, I wanted to give you guys that, at least that information. Yeah, I am just shook by this case, truly. Hey Melly, I have been pretty confused about this. Meaning, like what? About who did it, or the motive, or all of the above? Saint says, how can anyone think of doing something like this? I really don't know either. Here's a very detailed timeline, and I will link the source down below in the description, as I always do. We'll hit this before we hit the affidavits. So let's see, November 3rd, 6:30 to 7 o'clock p.m., Cortney states that she arrived at Richard Fowler's residence between 6:30 and 7 p.m. to pick up Rebecca. Cortney's the disgusting mother. The mother reports that Rebecca appeared tired and stressed during the ride. Rebecca talked about problems with Rich and concerns about money in the relationship. Cortney says she encouraged Rebecca to leave Rich, but Rebecca expressed fear and uncertainty. When they arrived at Cortney's residence, Cortney gave Rebecca an envelope containing $2,000. They discussed a possible baby shower. That's crazy. Rebecca expressed fear that Child Protective Services might take the baby. Rebecca texted on her phone repeatedly during the visit. Cortney claims Rebecca may have had two phones. Cortney says she briefly went inside to get laundry soap. When she returned, she noticed Rebecca had deleted something from her phone. Rebecca then told Cortney that someone else was coming to pick her up. November 4th, Rebecca was officially reported missing. Law enforcement began follow-up checks and initial search efforts. Early November 2025, the extensive searches were conducted by police, K9 units deployed, drone searches conducted, deputies searched on foot through wooded and rural terrain. Volunteer groups also searched the area. One group called themselves a recovery team. Authorities noted that these volunteers were not affiliated with law enforcement. On November 13th, 2025, the Wexford County Sheriff's issued a public message directed to Rebecca. They asked her to contact them. They said they understood she might be scared or hiding. They assured her she was not in any trouble and encouraged her to reach out so that they could confirm she was safe. On November 19th, sheriff's officials publicly addressed widespread information circulating online. They stated that rumors, speculation, and hostility on social media were hindering the investigation. Due to the volume of false claims, authorities said they were unable to release further case details at the time. November 25th, 2025, during the daytime, volunteer searchers located the body of a female resembling Rebecca Park. The body was found in Manistee. I hope I'm saying that right. I butcher words all the time. National Forest near the town of Boom, northwest of Cadillac. The location had been previously searched earlier in the investigation. Then in the evening of November 25th, the sheriff Trent Taylor held a press conference following the discovery. He declined to comment on whether investigators believed the body had been moved. He declined to state how long the body appeared to be deceased. November 26th, Rebecca's fiance and sister were arrested and arraigned following the recovery of the body. Richard Fowler, the baby daddy, was charged with 2 counts of delivery, manufacture of a controlled substance, also charged as a habitual offender, 4th offense. Bond was set at $1 million. Kimberly Park, she was charged with tampering with evidence, charged with lying to a peace officer, charged with filing a false report of a felony, and bond was set at $750,000. November 29th, 2025, authorities confirmed through autopsy that the body was found in Manistee National Forest, and it was Rebecca. Officials announced that Rebecca's baby was not with her or inside her when she was found. Sheriff Taylor stated that determining the location and condition of the infant had become a top priority. He explained that the investigation was active and information could be shared was very limited. Recognizing the intense public interest, the sheriff urged the community to remain patient as investigators worked towards answers. November 30th, Rebecca's mother and stepfather were taken into custody and held at Wexford County Jail. Authorities did not release any charges or the reason for their detention at the time. Officials only stated that 2 individuals connected to the case were taken into custody and the arraignment was scheduled for the afternoon. So let's see the investigation timeline. We're going to go back to October. This is a little bit more in depth. This is October 3rd. So we're going back a little earlier. 8:43 p.m. Rebecca's Park View phone shows a missed call from an email, and this is the last video call activity seen on the device. October 21st, time unspecified. Bradley says he had been driving the white 1992 Ford F-150 until October 21st when the license plate was expired. On October 28th, Cortney texted her sister Candace, claiming that she has given birth at 28 weeks to a baby boy, Ashton Lee Bartholomew, in the NICU in Grand Rapids, and asked for baby items. So October 28th, this disgusting mother was already pretending that baby was hers, which is insane. That she's telling her sister that she gave birth to a baby boy at 20 weeks. November 1st, which is a Saturday evening, exact time not given, Kimberly and Rebecca came to Courtney's residence. Present are Courtney, Rebecca, Kimberly, and Courtney's son, Bentley. Bradley is hiding in the truck because, quote unquote, the girls do not like him. So Bradley wasn't supposed to be around kids, and the girls did not like him, which makes me assume that they might have been victims of SA by these men that Courtney, their mother, was bringing around. And I mean, by them, I mean Rebecca and Kimberly. I think this mother is so disgusting. I can't even get past it. All of the above. What is the point? I think to hide what their family was doing and maybe meth and maybe selling the baby. I don't know. Isn't that a factor? There's always some gruesome crime when meth is involved. Yeah. To pick her up for what? I think it was just an alibi. This seems to be a couple's motive. Yeah, exactly. I agree. And then it says Courtney says she realized she had forgotten to give Rebecca baby items, contacted her, and drove to Richard Fowler's house to drop off those items. So the fiance. 7 to 7:30 p.m. Courtney later reports that the dinner ended around 7 to 7:30. And then later that night, in a separate interview, Bradley tells investigators that during this dinner, Kimberly privately asked him about the 2 trucks behind the house. She said she needed to get Rebecca out of the picture. November 2nd at 6:30 p.m., Courtney says she was supposed to pick up Rebecca for milkshakes and go to Dairy Queen and get laundry soap. She reports that she waited until about 6:30 p.m. when Rebecca called and said she was headed to 𝗕𝗥𝗔𝗓𝗡 Hospital because she thought she was in labor. Later that day, Courtney and Bradley both visit Rebecca and Richard at the hospital. Medical staff confirm Rebecca is not in labor. She is only dilated to 1 and she is released. Courtney drives Rebecca and Richard home from the hospital. Bradley brings Courtney her wheelchair to the hospital, driving the white Ford F-150. He stops at the gas station to get gas for the truck, while Courtney later drives Rebecca and Richard home in the Ford Escape. Courtney reports that she spoke with Rebecca that night about getting shakes on Monday, and that Rebecca asked about $2,000 Courtney had given her, and that Rebecca said Rich was upset about something. 9:14 p.m. Phone records on Rebecca's phone show that the last call is outgoing to Courtney Bartholomew at 9:14 p.m. And that is on the 2nd. November 3rd at 2:52 p.m. Candace texts Courtney, her sister, asking if she was able to bring the baby home. Courtney replies, no, he did a backslide, but still hoping this week. Between 6:30 and 7 p.m., Courtney says she went to Richard Fowler's residence to pick up Rebecca somewhere between 6:30 and 7. I don't even know if the sister believed Courtney was pregnant because she's much, much older, and who would want to get her pregnant? It blows my mind. 7 p.m. Location data from Rebecca's phone shows her arriving at the home shortly after in the area of 30 South Road shortly after 7 p.m. with a specific recorded location at 7:16 p.m. at that road. At 6:12, T-Mobile call record detail records show a 2-minute and 2-second outgoing call from Bradley's device to Courtney's device at 6:12. Network records show both devices near 30 South Road at the time before Rebecca's device is recorded driving in the area. 7:29. Call record shows a 50-second call from Bradley's device to Courtney's device at 7:29. And then at 7:33 p.m., call records show a 54-second call from Bradley's device to Courtney's device at 7:33. At this time, both devices are again near that road after Rebecca's phone shows arrival in the same area. So this is when they were pinned at the same location where her body was found. At about 11 p.m., Courtney tells investigators that at 11 p.m., she reached out to Kimberly to obtain Rich's number. At about 11:30 p.m., Courtney reports that 11:30 p.m., she tried to call Rich and then sent him a text stating that Rebecca had left with someone. This is also the time reported in the missing person report as the last time Rebecca was seen. 11:17 p.m., Courtney texts Candace, my son passed away. So her son meaning Rebecca's baby. So I think that's really freaky. Arrival and confrontation inside the residence. Rebecca arrives at the Bartholomew residence. All three defendants confirm her presence before the incident. A verbal argument begins between Rebecca and the others inside the home. The confrontation escalates into a physical altercation. Bradley admits direct involvement. Cortney then changes her story several times, later acknowledging involvement. Kimberly states that she was not present during the assault. Rebecca becomes unresponsive during the altercation. All defendants acknowledge she showed no signs of life afterward. Bradley and Cortney move Rebecca's body inside the residence. Kimberly says she learned of this after it all occurred. Cleanup begins inside the home. Defendants describe wiping blood and removing items. The defendants discuss what to do next, expressing fear of police discovery. Communications or contact with additional individuals are referenced, including Richard and Austin. I don't know who Austin is. Planning begins and to remove the body away from the residence. Late night, November 3rd. Body removal and disposal. Rebecca's body is prepared for removal. All defendants acknowledge awareness of this plan. The body is placed into a vehicle. Interviews vary on who assisted and who drove. The vehicle travels to a remote outdoor area during the night. Rebecca's body is left in a forested or rural location to avoid discovery. The group then returns to the residence. Cleanup continues. Items used in the assault or cleanup are removed or hidden. On November 4th, a coordinated story planning and continued evidence disposal. Defendants communicate about how to keep their statements consistent if questioned by law enforcement. Statements describe high anxiety and fear that the body might be found. Additional cleaning and disposal efforts occur inside of the home. Some defendants mention calls or messages involving Fallard or Nolan, but details vary. All discussions revolve around avoiding detection now that Rebecca is missing. November 5th, missing persons report and law enforcement response. Rebecca's family reports her missing. Law enforcement identifies Bradley, Cortney, and Kimberly as the last known people to have seen her. Police search the residence and vehicles. Signs of recent cleaning are observed. Evidence suggests that the body was moved inside the home. Interviews with defendants begin. Bradley's statements shift from minimizing involvement to admitting greater responsibility in both the assault and the disposal. Cortney provides the most inconsistent series of interviews, eventually admitting to the actions she previously denied. So those are the interviews we are going to continue to do on this case. So make sure you are subscribed, and I will be making a playlist on this. Kimberly admits to post-incident cleanup and participation in discussions after the death, but denies witnessing the assault. Evidence collected at the scene matches several elements of the later statements from the defendants. So that's just a timeline that I wanted to share with you guys. And now I want to, now I want to get into the affidavit. And this is brutal, like I said, so trigger warning. Sorry, let me fix my screen. Okay, there we go. So here's the affidavit. And this was State of Michigan, affidavit of probable cause. This affidavit is for Bradley and Cortney, so the mom and the stepdad. So like I said, trigger warning. Hey, Vanjie, sorry I'm late. You're fine. And Rochelle says, it's always a cover-up lies that get you. Yeah, I know. Let me get a drink and then we can. Okay, so affiant. Okay, probable cause. That crime of homicide degree, premeditated, felony murder, torture, conspiracy to commit torture, assault of a pregnant individual causing miscarriage or stillbirth, conspiracy to commit assault of a pregnant individual causing miscarriage or stillbirth, unlawful imprisonment, removing a dead body without the consent of the medical examiner was committed by defendant and affiant and is respectfully seeking a warrant for the defendant's arrest. Felony murder and torture is what prosecutors are calling it. And they say unlawful imprisonment because they forced her into the truck. So that's basically another word for kidnapping. On November 4th, 2025, at 1244 Wexford County, at 1244 Wexford County Central Dispatch received a call from Kimberly Sue Park, the sister, reporting that her sister Rebecca had not been seen since November 3rd of 2025 at approximately 2330 at 30 South Road in Boone Township of Wexford County. Deputy Reed began Wexford County Sheriff's Office incident report as a missing persons investigation. At the time of the report, Rebecca was 38 weeks pregnant and living with her boyfriend Richard at 1531 in Cedar Creek Township. Deputy Reed spoke with Cortney, the mother, who is Rebecca's biological mother and lives at the 30 South Road. Cortney reported that she was with Rebecca the prior night until approximately 8:30 p.m. when an unidentified friend picked Rebecca up from Cortney's residence. So I believe that's just a lie to try to build an alibi. Trigger warning. Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Crate. I'm still so lost. I don't get any of it. Okay, maybe did you start watching from the beginning? Because we did the family tree from the beginning. That might make more sense. But basically, it's a lot. Basically, so Rebecca, for those of you just tuning in, Rebecca's the one who was murdered and the baby was cut out of her. Her mom, Cortney, was sleeping with the baby daddy. And her mom was married to Bradley. So the sister and the mom were sleeping with both Rebecca's baby daddy, and Bradley, who is a stepdad, and Cortney, the biological mom, they're the ones who committed the crime, allegedly, according to this affidavit. So it's very confusing. And thank you, Vanjie. My late fees, $10. I appreciate you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's so nice and such a great way to support. Let's move on. Cortney had picked up Rebecca from the house to spend time together and get ice cream from Culver's. On the way to Culver's, Rebecca told Cortney she needed Tide Pods. So Cortney returned to her address to get some Tide Pods for her. Cortney went to the residence, grabbed the Tide Pods, and came outside. When she came outside, Rebecca told her that she was going to wait at the residence for a friend to pick her up. They waited a couple of minutes and a black sedan with tinted windows pulled across the road from the residence. Rebecca proceeded to the road and got in the front passenger seat of the vehicle. Cortney did not know the specific make or model of the sedan or the number of occupants in the car. She could not tell if the driver was male or female. She said that after this, she did not see Rebecca again. So that wasn't true. Cortney reported to Deputy Reed that she was contacted by Rebecca's fiance, the baby daddy, Richard, regarding her location later that night. Cortney informed Rich she did not know where Rebecca was and that she had left with a friend. Cortney was contacted by Kimberly the morning of November 4th. So Kimberly is Cortney's daughter, which is Rebecca's sister. And she was sent a screenshot of the location where Rebecca's phone was pinging at. Cortney told the deputy that she proceeded down the road where she found Rebecca's phone lying by the 2-track just off West 26th Road. This location is less than 200 yards from the 30 South Road. Cortney checked the phone and thought that Rebecca may have dropped it when she was using the restroom. Cortney reported that she took the phone to Richard's residence on Tuesday, November 4th, and turned it over to him. That is so suspicious. Like, why would her phone be in the woods? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Dumb criminals. The sheriff's office issued a press release on November 4th identifying Rebecca Park as a missing person. She was also entered into Law Enforcement Information Network as missing. On Wednesday, November 5th of 2025, a detective by the name of Detective/Lieutenant Piscor met with Kimberly when she arrived at Wexford County Sheriff's Office. Park had suggested that she might know where Rebecca was. So Kimberly said that she might know where her sister Rebecca is when she arrived at the sheriff's office. When I asked her about this, she played me a voicemail message from Cortney that said that Uriah Clark had called her and said that 2 people in the car had pulled up to the revival center looking for Narcan and said that the pregnant woman that was missing got what she effing deserved. So they were trying to pin it on someone else but themselves. That's interesting. Courtney stated that it was Serena that said something to Araya's father. She also added, quote unquote, I guess it was an older guy that your sister left with. When I asked Kimberly if she knows where she is at, she answers that only the older guy that Rebecca talks to is Stephen Billett and calls him a pervert. Park believes that Billett drives a black sedan, adding, quote unquote, like Courtney said. Stephen was contacted and did not appear to have contact with Rebecca. I don't know what the deal is with all these perverts being around this family. You know, the mother allowed that into their childhood. So, what's the confusing part? The confusing part is why they were all having sex with each other within the family. During the interview with Kimberly, she showed Detective 𝗕𝗥𝗔𝗜𝗡 a Blue View brand Model 4 cellular phone, which says Rebecca's phone on the home screen. Kimberly reported that she has looked through the phone and observed the last communications on the phone. Reported a missed video call from an email on Friday, October 3rd at 8:43 p.m. The last text message was on Sunday, and the last phone call was Courtney on Sunday, November 2nd. Kimberly identified that Rebecca uses her phone regularly and daily because she did not see any communications on Monday, November the 3rd. She suspects that records of phone activity on the 3rd have been deleted. Kimberly reported that Rebecca is known to regularly delete communication records from her cellular phone. So this is when the sister gets caught like pretty much lying. And they figure it out. Kimberly then played another voice message on her from Courtney, who can be heard explaining, quote unquote, okay, when Randy passed away, I was told that your sister had something to do with it. That would give Randy's family a murder revenge thing because she was involved when it came to Randy. On the message, Courtney suggested, so Stephen is connected to Randy's family, so I will definitely be looking at them. When I asked Kimberly if she trusted Courtney, she responded, not really. So I think that Kimberly initially was trying to protect herself and maybe her mom, but then I think she realized, I'm gonna probably go to prison. So she ended up coming clean about some other stuff. And here it just sounds like they were really just trying to pin it on other people. On Thursday, November 6, 2025, at 13:55, the detective obtained a search warrant for Rebecca's cellular phone that had been entered as property in the incident as item 54. The cellular device was submitted to the Michigan State Police Computer Crimes Unit. On Saturday, November 8th, members of the All-County Search and Rescue and Christian Aid Ministries Search and Rescue with 36 personnel comprised of 5 teams searched the area where Rebecca was last seen and the area where her cellular phone was recovered from. No additional evidence was identified. During this time, numerous tips were coming in and were being actively investigated. However, none located Rebecca Park. Due to reported activity on Rebecca's social media platforms, the pen register search warrants were obtained and served on her known social media accounts. However, no outgoing use was ever identified. On November the 15th, Candace, which is Courtney's sister, so Courtney is the mom, remember? Candace is her sister, and she's the one who she said, I'm having a baby at 28 weeks. Candace reported to the deputy that her sister Courtney had texted her on October 28th that she had been given birth to a son and was asking Candace for items for the baby. So I think a lot of the motive of this crime, I think Courtney is sick in the head and demented, and I think she was jealous of Rebecca and who was sleeping with who, etc. Maybe who really birthed or fathered the baby. And I think Courtney wanted to pretend like that was her baby, to have a relationship with both her husband and and her son, her son-in-law, Rebecca's baby daddy. Like, she seems like she's sick in the head. Through a series of, that's just my opinion too, by the way. Through a series of text messages, Courtney said that she had given birth at 28 weeks and that the baby was in the neonatal intensive care unit in Grand Rapids and that she named the baby Ashton Lee Bartholomew. And this is a little freaky because allegedly Rebecca had already named the baby. I mean, she was 38 weeks pregnant. She could have gone into labor. And Courtney's over here naming the baby something else. It's really creepy. Courtney told Cortney told Candace, quote unquote, he's supposed to come home this week. As long as he's doing good still, he will, meaning the baby. On Monday, November 3rd at 14:52, Candace asked Cortney if she was able to bring the baby home, and Cortney told her, quote unquote, no, he did a backslide, but still hoping this week. On November 3rd of 2025, Cortney sent Candace a text that reads, quote unquote, my son passed away. So I think this is when Rebecca had already been unalived and the baby was cut out of her fetus. They literally cut the baby out of her body. And the baby has not been found, by the way, which is even more sick. On Tuesday, November 4th at 11:18, Candace asked if it was because he wasn't strong enough or if he had gotten sick. Cortney answered, I don't know what happened. I just know he wasn't getting air, and added, all I know is I watched my child die right in front of me. Candace asked if she was there when it happened, and Cortney answered, yes, I was. On Tuesday, November 4th, Cortney begins to discuss with Candace that Rebecca is missing. So when she says, yes, I was, I think, she was referring to what they had just done. I think Cortney literally is sick in the head and thought she was the one giving birth when they ripped that baby out of Rebecca's fetus, which is so brutal. How are you going to cut a baby out of a fetus? Can you imagine? It's really terrifying. On Tuesday, November 11th, preservation requests for tower dump area search for the tower and the location between hours of 1900 and 2200 on November 3rd were submitted to T-Mobile, AT&T, and Verizon. The Lieutenant Piscor asked Cortney about another interview. Bartholomew was reluctant to come in, suggesting that Deputy Reed's interview with her had been thorough, but eventually agreed. So this is when I say we're going to watch the interviews that Cortney gave to social media. So she went on social media and was giving all these statements and interviews. And this is when she starts lying and they start piecing together that she's lying. We will be reviewing those interviews as well. On Tuesday, November 11th, 2025, Detective Piscor conducted a recorded interview with Cortney. Initially, some background on Cortney and her biological children raised by the Park family is established. Cortney then reports how Rebecca and Richard were initially dating. They broke up. A relationship between herself and Richard then commences. How is your mom going to sleep with the man that just got you pregnant? Like, what is wrong with Cortney? What is wrong with her? I just can't get over that. I really can't. It happens more often than not, I know. It's a real thing. Cortney reports that she was planning to divorce, not in my life, but in others. Cortney reports that she was planning to divorce Bradley. So Rebecca broke up with Richard, was pregnant by him. Cortney started having sex with him. And then Cortney wants to leave Bradley, who ended up committing this crime with Cortney, which I think was motive. I think that Bradley wanted to kill Cortney because she was cheating. I think Bradley wanted to kill Rebecca because of the baby. And I think Bradley wanted to kill Richard because of what was going on. And I think that Cortney wanted to get rid of Rebecca, her daughter, because she was jealous and wanted the baby to be able to keep both men. And then I think Richard wanted to be able to keep both females and not go to prison. And so I think that's how they all tried to lie for each other. And then it just didn't work out. Cortney reports that she was planning to divorce Bradley. Cortney then became pregnant and was unsure who the father might be, Bradley or Richard. With that point there in the affidavit, I feel like maybe Rebecca didn't know whose baby that was. Could it have been Richard, her baby daddy, allegedly, or was it Bradley's? Because Bradley is a sex offender. So whatever weird, what do you like, incest? I don't know, dude, what is going on here, but I'm horrified. Hey, Shoddy, good to see you. Who needs enemies when this is your family? I know, Tippy. I know. Hey, TS. This is gross. My mother sleeping with my baby dad. Excuse me. gonna vomit. Because of this, she stopped her divorce approximately 2 weeks before the court date for the divorce. Cortney reports that Rich showed up at her house with the intention of shooting Bradley. Yeah, see? I think that this is much darker than we think, dude. After Cortney rejected Rich, he resumed his relationship with Rebecca. Cortney also reported that Rich had returned to her residence and raped her, forcefully causing her to have a miscarriage of the baby she was carrying. A report of this incident was made with the sheriff's office. However, Cortney said Rich was not charged. Cortney really wanted to be pregnant with that baby. That's why she ripped that baby, cut that baby out of her freaking... Dude, that ain't right. It's not right, ATS. It's sick. Have you seen the mother? Yeah, did you guys miss her when I showed her a little bit ago? Don't worry, I'll show you pictures too. I guess that's why I'm single, because I don't look like her. Cortney identified that she was concerned for Rebecca as she was aware of how abusive and aggressive Richard Fowler could be and has encouraged Rebecca to leave Rich. That's insane. When the detective / Lieutenant Piscor asked about things leading up to the weekend, Cortney reported on Kimberly and Rebecca coming over on Saturday, November 1st to her residence. Cortney told the detective about giving envelopes to Kimberly and Rebecca. These envelopes were later reported by both Kimberly and Rebecca to have been empty. Cortney said that she was going to give Rebecca cash and didn't want Kimberly to feel left out. So she wanted Kimberly to set up an account so she could put money in an account for her. Cortney then reports having forgotten to give Rebecca some items for her baby while at the house. So she contacted Rebecca and then brought the items to her at Richard's house on Saturday night. It's a whole cluster here. Like, there's so much going on between who is older, Rebecca or Cortney. Cortney's the mom. Do you guys miss what she looked like? Here. There she is. Oh yeah, baby. Yeah. Yes, right here. This is Cortney. That's the mother who wanted to be pregnant and was having sex with Rebecca's baby daddy. Yeah, this fine ass lady right here. Was the mother really ever pregnant? No, the mother lied. She was never pregnant. She wanted to be pregnant. She wanted to be in Rebecca's shoes. Total gem. Yeah, I agree. Okay, let's continue this. So Cortney then told, let's see, where did I leave off? Okay, so she went to Richard's house Saturday night. Cortney then told the detective that on Sunday, November 2nd, she was supposed to pick up Rebecca to have milkshakes at Dairy Queen and Rebecca get laundry soap. These plans fell through when Rebecca went to Cadillac Munson Hospital as she thought she was in labor. Cortney reported that she and Bradley both visited Rebecca and Rich in the hospital that day. It is confirmed that Rebecca was not in labor, had only dilated to 1, and she was released from the hospital. Bartholomew, Cortney, her mom, drove Rebecca and Rich home from the hospital. Cortney said that when they arrived at Rich's house, he was throwing their bags, and Rebecca had whispered to her that Rich had been acting like a real big ass mom. Cortney offered to take her home with her, and Rebecca requested that they just meet for shakes tomorrow, which would be November 3rd. On November 3rd, Cortney said that she went to pick up Rebecca between 1830 and 1900 at Richard's. Cortney reports that as they ride, Rebecca said she was tired, which she confronted by telling her she looked stressed. She claimed that Rebecca was upset with Rich, identifying that he had been hounding her to obtain money to fix his truck. Cortney talked about how she encouraged Rebecca to leave Rich, but Rebecca was afraid to leave him. You know, I talked about the mom being involved with predators from the gate. Like, she was dating sex offenders, and I hate to say it, but like, you are a product of your environment, and Rebecca and Kimberly didn't know anything different. You know, their mom dated predators who probably essayed them. I mean, I wouldn't doubt that other men came into that home and that Bradley, a known sex offender, was also doing things to them. And, so they grow up and they think that that's normal. It's a cycle. And Rebecca ends up dating, people just like that. And it's tragic. So many lies. So many lies. What's Rebecca's sister's name? Her name is Kimberly. Is there proof she actually dated Rich? No, there is. Yeah. I believe Rich even said that he was banging the mom and banging the daughter. So Rich was the baby daddy for Rebecca. He got Rebecca pregnant allegedly, but Rich was also banging the sister, Kimberly, and the mother. But the mother's married to Bradley, and the mother and the stepdad, Bradley, are the ones who cut the baby out of her womb and stabbed her to death, Rebecca. So I think there's a lot of motive here, for this evilness. Cortney said when they arrived at her house, she gave Rebecca an envelope with $2,000 cash in it, and they discussed Cortney throwing her a baby shower. She identified that Rebecca didn't want a baby shower because she was afraid that Child Protective Services was going to take the baby. And why would? Because the sex offender thing, and I think they have like other familial issues that have gone down in family court. Cortney said that while they were talking, Rebecca was texting on her phone and mentioned the possibility that she had two phones. Cortney said she went into the house to get laundry soap and that when she came back, she said, quote unquote, I noticed that she deleted something, but didn't know what it was or which phone it might have been on. Cortney said she told Rebecca that she would take her back home, but Rebecca told her to hold on. She had someone coming to get her, which ends up being a lie. No one was coming to get her. They were just using that as an alibi. Brad had probably watched Weirdos. Yeah, I agree, Cree. And then Rich said, I don't want to work. I just want to bang. Yeah, exactly. There's proof that Rich is the baby and they dated. There's no proof that who is the baby's father because the baby is missing. Yeah, they brutally tortured her, stabbed her to death, cut open her stomach, took her uterus, took the baby out like they were freaking giving her a C-section. And then they threw the baby in the woods, allegedly, or they sold the baby. I don't know. I think if they sold the baby, they would have some kind of evidence. Towers, cell phone, social media, banks. I don't know. I feel like they would have something. So they have not found the baby. The baby is missing, you guys. The baby's missing here. How freaky is that? Hey, Kara. Good to see you, love. Cortney said she pulled out of her driveway and a car came up behind her. These are all lies, by the way. She identified that she didn't ask Rebecca who it was out of fear she would push her away, but Rebecca had told her she would be back. Cortney said the car had dark tinted windows. There was no plate on the car, but she could tell it was a Chevy. When questioned that social media was reporting the car had the taillights of an Impala, Cortney confirmed she was a source of that information. Cortney talked about someone Rebecca knows who has a Chrysler 300 also having similar taillights. Bartholomew didn't follow the car, as she again said it would upset Rebecca if she had. Cortney said that about 2300 hours, she reached out to Kimberly to get Rich's number. At about 23:30, she said she tried to call Rich, so she sent him a text that Rebecca had left with someone. Cortney confirmed that Rebecca was texting while they were together. Her next contact with Rich was on Tuesday morning, and she reported telling him that she had given Rebecca $2,000. Cortney then said that Kimberly sent her the GPS location to Rebecca's phone, which she said she put in her phone, and it took her right to the phone. When I asked who went and got the phone, Cortney then identified we, who was then identified as Bradley and herself. It is reported that Bradley found the phone and then he handed it to Cortney. What kind of lie is that? That's such bull. Like, who's going to believe that? Oh, she's missing, but you found her phone in the wooded area. Like, that makes no sense. Where their phone also pinged. You know what I mean? They must think like law enforcement is really dumb or something. I don't know. Cortland says, I lived in Wexford for 4 years. Everyone is addicted to drugs. Oh, thanks for that, Cortland. Not familiar with the area, but good to know. That baby is probably stepdad's, and Rebecca was staying with Rich, mom's ex, thinking she could trust him since she seemed to like, yeah, I think the baby, I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, did they maybe try to hide and kill her for the baby belonging to the stepdad, like an incestual thing, you know? Detective Lieutenant Piskor, my apologies if I'm saying that wrong, confronted Cortney of an image she had sent to Rebecca of a check that was made out in her name for $18,000. She claimed that when her mother died, she was left money to do with as she pleased. Cortney confirmed that she sent an image of a check to Rebecca, but that she had not given the check to her. Cortney denied that there was a similar check made out to Kimberly. A statement that Cortney had tried to have this meeting prior had fallen through because she didn't have things in place that she needed to. Cortney said it was simply getting kids together at one time what wasn't falling into place. When the detective confronts Cortney that the phone records for the phone that was found on the tow truck was not used to summon someone to pick her up, Cortney then identifies that there are possibly two phones that she uses. So, this mother, she's right up there, I think, with Jen Soto, you guys. Like, I think she might be tied with Jen Soto. Yeah, this is the argument right now is what if the baby is alive? They are saying there could be a chance that the baby is alive. And I think if they found the baby, an autopsy would confirm whether the baby was dead before being cut out of the womb or did the baby even breathe as they cut the baby out of the womb. There's, I think, a lot going on here with that, but it's making it really difficult because they don't have the body. They don't have the baby. So they can't run any tests. And if the baby is alive, who has the baby? The baby can't survive out there in the woods. You know what I mean? I think Cortney is a liar and delusional. Maybe, yeah, she is. Cadillac has a really bad drug problem. The whole family was using meth, says Cortland. Yeah. I guess that makes sense how they could do such a horrible thing, right? Let me sneeze. Excuse me. Okay, Cortney brings up the names of other people she thinks may be involved based on rumors, specifically that Mike and Ashley were supposed to help Rebecca get away from Richard. So I believe those are friends. Oh, I have to sneeze again. Sorry. Okay. As Detective Lieutenant Piskor discussed, I don't know why I've been sneezing too much today. Discussed phone location records with Cortney. She confirms that she picked up Rebecca and came south on South 41st Road to McIntosh Trail and turned west on East Road to continue out to her residence on South 21. Location data from Rebecca's phone supported this route of travel. So basically, Rebecca's phone was found in this wooded area where Cortney and Bradley's phone pinged. That's how they knew that they were lying, law enforcement. When detective confronted Cortney with the accusations that she killed Rebecca, she asked, quote unquote, why the F would I do that? Saying that she would never hurt her daughter. But you were hurting your daughter. Thank you. Thank you for the bless yous. You were sleeping with her boyfriend. During this interview, Cortney said that she did not know where Rebecca was. When Cortney was asked if she had done anything to harm Rebecca, she again said she would not hurt her daughter. While discussing the pickup truck at her residence that was reported to never move but have been moved recently, Cortney reported it doesn't have seats in it, but said that it was moved recently to make room to access the porch. So this is a truck where they forced Rebecca to get in so they could take her to the wooded area and kill her. Cortney said that Kimberly and Rebecca do not like Bradley because Bradley wasn't allowed to be near children because he is an SO. So Cortney's a real POS. Like, it just blows my mind. Some people aren't worthy of having children, it really is. Anyways, we're not going to get into it. That'll lead to a bunch of spiritual talk, all this stuff. But anyways, I just don't understand. On Tuesday, November 11th at 15:40, the detective conducted a recorded interview with Bradley. He confirmed his cell phone number. Okay. When asked about Rebecca, Bradley reported that they do not get along. He explained that this is due to his criminal history. He described Rebecca and Cortney's relationship as rocky. So there you go. Rebecca didn't like Bradley due to his criminal history. No, she didn't give a shit about your criminal history. You probably did something to her prior to killing her. Bradley said that he was not around on Monday when Rebecca was at the house. He identified that he was, quote unquote, at my place and described living in the woods near Henrietta and Fitch Hatchery. As the detective was attempting to confirm his presence there, Bradley said he was alone and that his phone was with Cortney as her phone was about to be shut off. The truck at the house was discussed and identified as not having moved in years. Bradley said that he had been driving the truck on October 21st, 2025, when the license plate expired. When asked if the seats were out of the truck, Bradley confirmed that they had been. He explained a similar explanation that they were cleaning the truck up for Cortney's son Bentley to drive when he turns 16. When Bradley asked when he found out that Rebecca was missing, he identified it was Monday night or Tuesday morning. He again denied being at the residence. Bradley told the detective that on Tuesday, November 4th, Cortney was in town and he was at the house with Bentley when Cortney texted him the location of where Rebecca's phone was. And this is already a charge right here. Bradley wasn't allowed to be around Bentley. Bentley's only 14 years old. So he wasn't allowed to be around minors because of the SO charges. I'm so disgusted with Cortney. I want to like puke in her face. When Cortney texted him, okay, Bradley said he refused to go off there alone because, quote unquote, I'm not being accused of anything. Bradley said that when Cortney got home, they went out together to look for the phone based on a ping that Kimberly had sent to Cortney. Bradley confirmed that he was the person who found Rebecca's cellular device on the True Track near 30 South Road, and he picked it up and handed it to Cortney. Bradley said he didn't know how Rebecca's phone ended up on the trail, but suggested that she had walked the trail in the past. These are like the worst lies if I have ever heard one. You know what I mean? Like, on November 24th, Cortney came to the sheriff's office and the detective Piscor began a recorded interview with her. There is a discussion about the TikTok live conversations. So we're going to go over those when we go over the interviews. What the mom was saying prior to, because they were all talking to podcasters and giving information. That was all lies. I asked Cortney about a cellular device that a bounty hunter dropped off at the Clare City Police Department. She identified this phone was provided by Kimberly. During this meeting, I asked Cortney about Kimberly's personal property in her vehicle. She confirmed that she was in possession of items that belonged to Kimberly. However, she didn't want to leave the items with me to return to Kimberly. On Monday, November 24th, Bradley was interviewed by Detective Heelan at the Michigan State Police Crime Laboratory in Grayling. During this interview, Bradley reported that he's trying to protect Kimberly. He said that Kimberly took Rebecca down a 2-track behind the house and he stated, I believe she's dead. So now he's blaming it. First, he's blaming it on Cortney, and now he's blaming it on Kimberly, which would make sense. Remember, they're all sleeping with each other. So there's motive, I think, for all of them. Bradley Bartholomew said to Detective Heelan that he was present during a dinner with Cortney, Rebecca, and Kimberly on Saturday, November 1st. During this time, Bradley said that Kimberly had a private conversation with him about the 2-track behind the house and that Kimberly stated she needed to get Rebecca out of the picture. In a way, I kind of believe that. I really do. On Tuesday, November 25th, a Wexford County Central Dispatch received a 911 call from Cortney stating that she had found a body covered with leaves that looks gutted. That's what she reported on the 911 call. The location of the body was approximately 2.5 miles in a straight line west of 30 South 21st in Antioch Township, Westford County on Forest Service Road. These are weird names. Wexford County Deputy 𝗕𝗥𝗔𝗓𝗡 responded to the area, observed the remains, and reported the deceased female have a tattoo above the left eye, which was Rebecca. Kovtunen reported that the abdomen area of the body appears to have been cut open. The tattoo located above the eye is consistent with Michigan driver's license images of Rebecca K. Park. Michigan State Police Trooper Cody Campbell was inside the residence on Tuesday, November 25th, securing the residence until Michigan State Police Crime Laboratory personnel could search the home based on a search warrant that had been authorized on the date. While in the presence of Cortney and Bradley were discussing amongst themselves, loud enough for Trooper Campbell to hear. Cortney mentioned to Bradley that the seat cover from the Ford F-150 in the driveway had recently been burned and disposed of due to something having been spilled on them. So the trooper overheard them plotting and planning about lies and whatnot. A search warrant was served on T-Mobile for Bradley's cell phone number. The records that were produced pursuant to the search warrant show Bradley's device active in the area where her body was found on November 3rd. Further, these records show device movement and lingering in the areas consistent with where Bradley and Cortney reported recovering Rebecca's cellular device and where her body was discovered on November the 25th. On several occasions on Monday, November 3rd, in the evening hours. These records take place after the records obtained from Rebecca's phone and network demonstrate her arriving in the area shortly after 1900. Celebrate extraction location at the Residence Road. Additionally, records from Rebecca's phone extraction show locations consistent with the reported location of the recovery of the device. A search warrant was served on Verizon for Cortney's telephone number. The records that were produced pursuant to the search warrant show Cortney was also in the area, and both Bradley and Cortney records show them in communication with one another shortly after her arrival with Rebecca. So they got caught here. Yeah, they're screwed. Additionally, Cortney's phone records have activity consistent with her interview statements that she traveled to pick up Rebecca at Richard's residence, then transporting her to her house. So they forced Rebecca to get in the truck, or maybe not. I don't know. Maybe Rebecca was already dead. I mean, I'm not sure about that. I think she wasn't though. ATS, if you're in here, let me know because I know you recently covered this too. And they forced her into the truck and then took her to stab her and take the baby out. Where's Bio Dad? Probably on meth somewhere. I don't know. Hello, had to start at the beginning. I know. Okay, Sunburn Rocks, thanks for being here. They will all cover for each other in such a lame way. I know. They were all jealous. Rich wanted Rebecca. Bradley wanted Rebecca. Mom and sister hated her, and the men perverted. Yes, I agree, Q. I so much agree with you on this. Men perverted, waste of life. Hey, Mateo, and hey, Joker. Bradley's call detail records show the following calls of investigative interest: a 2-second outgoing call from Bradley to Cortney, a second call from Bradley to Cortney, a 54-second call from Bradley to Cortney. At the time of the call, device network records show Brad and Cortney's devices near that area where Rebecca's body was found. And this precedes the activity of Rebecca's device coming into the area. Affiant is aware that the calls, again, show Brad and Cortney's devices in the area after Rebecca's device records show her arrival in the same area. So they basically have them in the same area where her body was found. So Rebecca never even made it to the house. No, they brought her into the woods to stab her and rip her baby out of her uterus, sorry. An autopsy was conducted at Western Michigan University by Dr. Christine James and was attended by Deputy Howard. There were 6 sharp force wounds to Park's back. They stabbed her 6 times. Like, what the? I don't get it. 2 to the right upper arm, 1 to the left trapezius area, 2 to the neck and at least 2 to the face. If they wanted the baby, like, I don't know, have sex and have another one. Go adopt one, which I wouldn't recommend these people to do it, but, like, this is they wanted Rebecca dead. They did. I didn't know it was this many stab wounds. 2 to the neck and at least 2 to the face. The right side of the face also has a laceration and an irregular wound to the cheek of an unknown etiology. The wounds to the neck are described as superficial and do not penetrate muscle or harm any vasculature. Most of the wounds to the torso are contained in soft tissue. One to the back enters the left pleural space but misses the lung. One to the right side of the back enters the right pleural space but does not penetrate the right upper lining lobe and caused a large pneumothorax. All major vessels are intact. Rebecca's abdomen had incised wounds. The placenta was hanging from the open abdominal wound with attached umbilical cord, and the fetus was present. The abdomen incision transcended the colon and the small bowel. Yeah, that's why prosecutors are calling it premeditated torture. Wow. So it is alleged that Bradley's the one who ripped the baby from the umbilical cord. I don't know if he cut it, stabbed it, chewed it. I don't know. The abdomen incision transcended the colon and the small bowel. Dr. James reported that Rebecca's stomach contained copious amounts of blue-green chalky residue. What would that be? What? Oh my goodness. Trigger warning. Ugh. Hey, cuff you. They tortured her in the family dynamic because Courtney wanted her dead. She was jealous. I know. Oh my gosh. I didn't know how brutal this was. This is why the face. Exactly. Because she jealous. Rage. There was also a thin film of subdural blood over the left cerebral hemisphere with focal subdural on the right parietal area. However, there was no subscapular or subgaleal hemorrhage nor skull fractures noted. The OA joint had marked laxity, but a posterior neck dissection showed no soft tissue hemorrhage. So they hit her in the head. They hit her in the head. On Sunday, November 30th, a second search warrant was obtained for Bradley and Courtney's residence. Search warrants to seize the Ford Escape and a temporary Michigan registration plate, registered to Courtney, and the 1992 Ford F-150 pickup truck. Have them towed to the Wexford County Sheriff's Office to be possessed by the lab. Okay, so they were gonna, yeah, that's good. The search warrants were served, and Bradley and Courtney were both taken into custody and transported to the Wexford County Sheriff's Office. On Sunday, November 30th, 2025, Detective Piscor and Sergeant Hackman conducted a recorded interview with Bradley. Again, Bradley was put on notice that Rebecca's death is a homicide and that this is a homicide investigation and that there can't be any more lies. Bradley was read his Miranda rights from a Wexford County Miranda warning card. He confirmed his understanding of the rights explained to him, and he agreed to speak with the detectives at the time. Bradley reported his knowledge that Courtney went to get Rebecca. They came to the house to get Tide Pods, and they were supposed to go get ice cream. Bradley said that he was at the house with Bentley. He admitted that he lied during his first interview about being at the residence because of his sex offender registry status. I just said, yeah. I don't get it. What is the blue-green chalky residue? Like, w uh, I mean, what's blue? Michigan doesn't have death penalty because they killed her on federal land. That's complete bullshit, Cortland. That's crazy. If they did not report her missing, nobody would have known, really. Yeah. Bradley's told that the SOR violations are the sex offender registry violations are small in comparison to a homicide. And he says that at the time he didn't know this was a homicide. He reported that Cortney had backed out of the driveway and the Ford escaped. Then she came back. He says that at the time he had no idea where Rebecca was. He said that he knew Cortney left with the white Ford and then came back. He reported that Cortney had told him she and Rich were in the white Ford and that they had a disagreement and there was blood on the dash. Cortney asked Bradley to clean it up, which he reported that he went out and wiped it down. He said he didn't see any blood on the floor or on the seats, just blood spattered on the dash. He described that later there was white paint on the seats, and Cortney asked him to remove the seat covers, which he confirms he did. He said he was unsure what she did with them, if they were thrown in the burn barrel or in the trash. Next, he said that Cortney was talking to him about how she and Rich did something terrible, but she wouldn't tell him. He claimed that once the story of Rebecca came out about her being missing, he had began to put two and two together. So this is when disgusting Brad is trying to pin it on Rich and Cortney. Bradley reported that Cortney threatened that if she had said anything, she'd make his life hell. Bradley identified that Cortney has tried to stab him with scissors in the past and charged with the assault, but the case was dismissed. Bradley clarified that Cortney had told him about something bad happening 5 to 6 days after Rebecca was missing, but he claimed that he wasn't sure what bad thing had been done. When asked about the story about the baby in the NICU at DeVos, Bradley identified that she was supposedly adopting a baby, but he didn't know how she could due to his status as an SOR. Bradley's such a disgusting liar. I'm disgusted with Bradley and Cortney. Like, it's literally making me sick. Bradley said that Cortney was alone when she got into the white Ford and left North Road, and that she returned approximately 15 minutes later. He stated that he had sent a text to Cortney to see if she needed him to come outside for anything, and she responded in the affirmative. It was now that he said that Cortney reported getting into a fight with Rich. Bradley said he never observed Rich on this date and that he did not observe any injury to Cortney. Returning to the quote-unquote something bad topic, Bradley was asked to continue that topic. He identified that Cortney is all over TikTok and that Kimberly was over to use Escape to deliver newspapers. He confirmed that Kimberly left personal items in the Escape and identified that she did that all the time. When the detective Piscor asked anything else that Bradley wanted known before drilling down questions began, he said that Cortney was constantly talking to Rich. He agreed that she was also constantly talking to Kimberly. He reported he can't hear the conversations as they're all taking place by text. He only knows it's them because he sees their names on her phone. This is like intense. Michigan doesn't. Oh, I already read that. If they did not report her missing, if somebody asked me to clean that up, I would say hell no. I know. But he's lying, remember? Bradley is then confronted with the records from carriers, specifically T-Mobile and Verizon. He was asked about Cortney's phone that she had previously said she was no longer going to have was no longer going to have service. Bradley identified that she had service restored, but was aware that she had conducted a factory reset on the phone. Oh, does that sound familiar? Stephen Stearns. He was notified that a factory reset does not prevent access to records that are maintained by the carrier. Bradley said that he had Cortney's phone on November 3rd. It is pointed out that there are phone calls between both the phone he uses and the one Cortney uses while Rebecca is at the house. He passes these as simple calls checking on her comings and goings. He reports that he hasn't driven the truck since he parked it and that it only had enough gas to get to the gas station. Detective Piscor confronted Bradley's statement about the blood in the truck, confirming his knowledge that the truck has been seized, identifying if there is any blood of Rebecca found in the truck, there will be a big problem. Bradley is confronted if he thought Cortney had been lying to him about what went on, and he says he does. He suggests he can't see Cortney and Rich being together like that because they haven't talked in over 2 years. Well, he's lying because Rich and Cortney were having sex. Bradley confirmed that there are no $18,000 checks. He did not know why Cortney sent images of the checks. He says that he spoke with Kimberly on Saturday, November 1st, after their dinner that night had ended. He said she was asking about the two trucks behind the house. He denied that Kimberly told him she needed to get Rebecca out of the picture. He identified that Kimberly said this to Rich, who identified Wait, he identified that Kimberly had said this to Rich Fisher, who is identified as Cortney's cousin. Detective Sergeant Hackman confronted that this was not what Rich Fisher told him when he interviewed him personally. Bradley reported that Kimberly is jealous of Rebecca and that he is aware that Kimberly has had a relationship with Rich in the past. There it is. There it is. Motive. Bradley reported being upset when Kimberly was on the internet saying he and Cortney were responsible, making a statement that he doesn't understand how anyone could do that to a pregnant woman. He answered that he believes Cortney and Rich would be capable of doing something such as this. When asked for what purpose, he gave different possibilities. Bradley agreed that he believed Cortney is capable of slicing open her own flesh and blood and taking a baby out. He agreed that Cortney is obsessed with wanting another baby in her care and custody. He also agreed that it was a good possibility that she could attack Rebecca and cut a baby out of her. Detective Piscore asked if he remembered the Sunday that Rebecca was in the hospital. Cortney saying or texting, "Don't you dare have this baby in the hospital." And Bradley remembers somebody saying it, but not who was saying it. Bradley confirmed going to Richard's house on Saturday to take the gifts to Rebecca that Cortney forgot to give her at the house earlier that day. While discussing being upset that Kimberly had accused him of being involved, Detective Piscore asked why he hadn't called him, and Bradley said that Cortney had threatened him and she didn't want him involved. His explanation was that she doesn't want to get incriminated or himself incriminated. I'm catching up on the comments. My niece is adopted, and adoption is not cheap. It's very expensive. They would have been able to adopt because of the criminal history. Oh, yeah, you're right. Some cat litters and deodorants and powders mix blue or green granules. Oh. Oh, okay. What? So did they make her take the Tide Pods? Like eat them or something? Is Richard the baby daddy? I think so. No, I think the baby daddy is a stepdad. I could see that being true. Maybe that's why Cortney even had it out more for her, because Rebecca was pregnant by her husband and was sleeping and was dating who Cortney was in love with, Rich. I don't know. It's alleged Richard is the dad, but we don't know because the baby's missing. The baby's body is missing. Yes, I do have pictures. I showed him at the beginning of the live. They have pics on Wexford County. Yeah, I had him on here too as well. I'll go through them at the end. Oh, good job, Melly. That may be it. Yeah. I'm thinking if they wanted her to take him so she would like suffocate or something, or choke. Lies usually have elements of truth. Exactly, Q. Let's continue. Bradley began to say that he thinks Cortney has more to do with it than she wants to claim. He said all the evidence is pointing to her. He suggests that he believes all the evidence would be in the white Ford. The blood he observed inside the truck is discussed and described. Bradley said that he removed the original seat covering about a week and a half after Rebecca went missing because it had got white paint on it. When asked what he thought had happened, Bradley responded he thought Cortney was jealous of Rebecca. He agrees that Cortney would like to have another child. He also thinks that Rich wants to get back into the relationship with Cortney. What? Here, I'll show you guys pictures. This is Cortney, the mom, the stepfather, Brad. Okay, and then you have this is Rich. Like, what was Rebecca? Like, I'm like, how? Why? Poor girl. And then this is a sister. They all look like a bunch of meth heads. I'm not trying to be mean, but they were, but like, wow. Okay, let's continue. Bradley agrees that he thinks Cortney could point the finger at him as being responsible when we interview him. So this is when they started to pin things against each other. They got arrested and then they started to blame each other. So they're pansies. Bradley's blaming Cortney, Cortney's blaming Bradley. It's ridiculous. When Bradley is confronted with Cortney being in possession of the cellular device when she went up to pick up Rebecca, he claims he can't say she possessed it, but it was there at the house and he had it to call her. He then confirms that Cortney did not have that phone when she went to Richards to pick up Rebecca. He reported she got that phone when she came back from getting the white Ford. Detective Piscor asked Bradley what else he wanted us to know about, and he told us that Cortney had scalpels in her bedside stand, describing them as disposable scalpels for lancing cellulitis. Oh my God, that's what they cut the baby out with? Bradley doesn't remember going anywhere on the morning of Tuesday, November 4th, other than Ballard's to give him Rebecca's phone. Bradley confirmed that he had come to the hospital on Sunday, November 2nd, to bring Cortney her wheelchair and that he was driving the white Ford pickup truck while Cortney was there with the Ford Escape. He did not ride back to Manton with Cortney when she drove Rebecca and Richard home. You know how Rebecca's pregnant and how Cortney wanted a baby so bad? I'm starting to think if one of them, Richard or Bradley, raped her to get pregnant. Like, you never know. You know what I mean? Oh, can you show Rebecca next to the family? The picture, the only one I actually got of Rebecca, I should have got another one, was this one. Yeah. I think Brad, yeah, I think so too, cuff you. Brad did. Yeah, I think so. I think it was a sick thing that they had going on here. The baby was his. Yeah, I think so. That's what I said at the beginning. I'm like, I don't believe Rich is a baby daddy. I think that that could have a lot of the reason to do with why they wanted her dead and why they wanted that baby and why Cortney wanted that baby too, because that's her husband. She feels like that's her baby. She's sick in the head. Rebecca's unborn baby was fathered by her stepfather, Bradley. Ew. Bradley begins to show some emotion about the possible outcome of his investigation. Bradley is given a break at this point in the interview. On Sunday, November 30th, Detective Piscor and Sergeant Voss conducted a recorded interview with Cortney. So now this is Cortney's side. She's read her Miranda rights. Cortney identified that at the dinner at her house on Saturday, November 1st, it was herself, Rebecca, Kimberly, her sister, Bentley, her son, and Brad was hiding in the truck. Detective Piscor notified Cortney that this is a homicide investigation and that the lies must stop. And if she lies, more charges can be brought. Cortney reported that Bradley is hiding in the truck because the two girls won't come in if he is around because they don't like him, because he's an SO. He has been raping your children. She reported that at the dinner ended around 1900 to 1930. The next thing that happened was she called Rebecca about the items she forgot to get her and that she and Bradley went to Rich's to drop the items off. At the time, they were in the Ford Escape. On Sunday, November 2nd, she was supposed to pick up Rebecca and waited around until about 1830, and Rebecca called to say she was on her way to the hospital. She described the events at the hospital as she had previously. Rebecca brought Cortney her wheelchair in the hospital. Bradley was driving the white Ford F-150, and she explained how he stopped at the gas station to get gas for the truck while she drove Rebecca and Richard home. Cortney wanted to know if Bradley could hear her, and she was told he could not. She reported talking to Rebecca Sunday night about getting shakes on Monday. She said that Rebecca asked her about the $2,000 and said that Rich was upset about something. Cortney confirmed the trip to Richard's house on Saturday after the dinner to drop off the items for Rebecca. When Detective Piscor asked Cortney why she wanted to know if Bradley could hear her, she suggested that the need to back up. She suggested the need to back up, saying she thinks she needs immunity Detective Piscor notified Cortney that the prosecutor is the person who can give her immunity. Cortney suggests that we get the prosecutor here, and detective says she will want to know what she has. Cortney said she will give us where the knife is and where the baby is, that she will give it all to us. What? That is wild. Those poor young girls, Rebecca did not want to have her child around those freaks. Yeah, I agree. When Detective Piscor confronts Cortney that she has guilty knowledge, she responded that she has been threatened. Her child has been threatened, her home has been threatened, and she is done. Cortney renews her request for immunity and then asks for witness protection. I'm curious if they waited for her to come off the meth before interviewing her, because she sounds like a freaking psycho. Detective Sergeant Voss explains we can't offer her immunity. When Detective Piscor asks Cortney if the baby is alive, she shakes her head in the negative. What? Hey, KMB, good to see you. I'm late, but I made it. You're fine. No worries. I appreciate you guys being here. Please, please, please make sure you guys hit the like button. Again, you know how helpful that is for the smaller channels. Cuffy said, I can't believe. Yeah, I know. The babies. Detective Voss asked Cortney about her prior statement that Bradley hides in the truck. He asked her where he hides, and she identified in the cab. She describes it as a single cab truck, and he lays on the seat. Cortney reported that Bradley had put $15 worth of gas in the truck when he was at the gas station on Sunday night. Cortney asked if Bradley confessed, and Detective Voss reported he told us a lot of stuff. Cortney's so dumb. Like, she's over there asking if he can hear her, if it, like, literally guilty. Cortney confirmed that Bradley is using the phone with the number 550, and her phone is the 429 phone. She confirms that she had the 429 phone on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday that Rebecca disappeared. The Monday that Rebecca disappeared. She said her phone was taken on Monday night and she was told to go back in the house. Cortney said her phone was taken at about 20:30. She renewed her request to contact the prosecutor. Detective Voss again told her we need to know what she knows to take it to the prosecutor. When he suggests an example that she will even tell us where the baby is, she interrupts and says, in the garbage, in a blue cooler. When asked where, she reported in the GFL. Cortney says, he said he put him in a black bag. The cooler's gone. The cooler is Brad's work cooler. Adding, he put him inside the cooler and drove him up and down the road looking for a GFL that wasn't mine. Wow. That is so messed up. Where is the baby? Oh my gosh, it breaks my heart when this happens to the babies. Hey, Egyptian, good to see you, love. Yeah, I'm kind of over that. When Detective Voss asked why Cortney reported that it was related to Bradley going to jail in the last year when Richard turned him in. She explained that it is all retaliation. She identified the night when they went home after the last interviews. She confronted him about his examination and his failure. What? Detective Voss asked Cortney which vehicle he used to get rid of the body, and she identified her white truck. She is then asked how he got her in a position to kill her. She explained how she pulled her into the driveway. She had notified him she was on the road. She explained that she got to the house and talked to Rebecca for a few minutes, and Bradley walked up and pulled her out and said, I want to talk to you. That the white truck was sitting out by the road, and explained that, quote unquote, she didn't think anything of it, Brad was supposed to be her stepdad. Cortney wanted to know where they were going, and that Brad told her to take her ass in the house and don't worry about it. She said she went in the house because she didn't think he would hurt her. Lies, 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 lies. Bradley is reported to have returned to the house at 22:30 and told her that he had taken Rebecca home. Cortney confronted him that he had not, and he told her that that he had and that she would call her in the morning. Cortney asked him for her phone, which she reported he told her was out in the shed and he went to get it. She said when he came back in the house, he said, quote unquote, yeah, she didn't go home. Instead, telling Cortney that he took her to a house. But when asked to take her there, he just told her that Rebecca said to him she didn't want anything to do with Cortney. Cortney reported calling Rich to tell him to call her back ASAP and that while Brad was watching her, she told Rich that, quote unquote, dude, your old lady left with some guy, or Bradley would backhand her. Cortney confirmed that Detective 𝗕𝗥𝗔𝗗𝗏 that the story about the black car was made up and never happened. See? Wow. This is her daughter too. Like the audacity. Asking her to continue, she reported Kimberly sending her coordinates to Rebecca's phone and asking Bradley why her daughter's phone would be across the road, and his response was, I don't fucking know. She asked Bradley to take her the phone, and he said he took her right to it. She said that the phone was exactly where the coordinates is. She said it was out in the open and it appeared that someone had just set it down. They took the phone directly to Rich's, but before their arrival, she said that Bradley told her, quote unquote, I'm telling you right effing now, do not say an effing word. Kimberly got the phone from Rich and Cortney reported that Kimberly had called her and said she was taking the phone to the cops. She said Kimberly called her at 2100 hours on Tuesday night to tell her this. When asked to continue, Cortney identified that in her second to last drawer in her bedstand, she has razor knives that she uses to nick open her cellulite so they will drain. She reported that one was gone. Which she said she knew because she counted them due to a teenage boy living in her house. What? She reported that one was gone, which she said she knew because she counted them due to a teenage boy living in her house. Oh, okay. Cortney agreed the knives are like scalpels. When she confronted Bradley about the missing knife, she answered. He didn't say anything then. Detective 𝗕𝗥𝗔𝗗𝗏 confronted her that her use of the word means he must have said something later, and she reported it. It was after her body was found. Cortney said she kept asking Bradley where her daughter was, saying he answered, you'll find out soon enough. She goes on to report that after returning from his last interview, he told her about Kimmy, asking about the woods behind the house to go trail riding. Cortney said that Kimberly will not talk to Bradley ever alone. Why are we not surprised to hear that? She reported trying to get Rich Fisher to take Kimberly's bag to her. She said that Bradley said, quote unquote, you can't have that. You're not taking her bag. He said, nobody's taking this bag. Cortney said she realized Kimberly's wallet was in the bag, questioning why he would want her wallet. Detective 𝗕𝗥𝗔𝗗𝗏 confronted Cortney that he had asked for Kimberly's property while she was at the sheriff's office on Tuesday night and that she refused. She explained that she was told not to, suggesting she didn't want to get her ass beat. She reported that on Tuesday, November 25th in the morning, Bradley took the truck and went west on West 26th Road and was gone for about 20 minutes. She said when Bradley came back, she asked him if he had hurt her daughter, and he told her, no, I didn't hurt her. Cortney said that was the same day Rebecca's body was found. Wow. Cortney said that on Wednesday, November 26th in the morning, she confronted Bradley and asked what he did. She reported he told her, I'm going to tell you once and I'm going to tell you and you're going to effing drop it and you're going to shut the F up. He's like, I'm the only reason your daughter's not here, that your life is upside down right now. When she asked him why, she said, Bradley said, Rich effed with the wrong mother effer. She agrees this is all a revenge plot. Cortney said that when she asked him what he did to her daughter, Bradley said, I slit her effing throat. Bitch deserved it. She goes on to say that he said Rich deserved it too, and it just happened to be your daughter's going to pay for it. This is literally psycho. Cortney said when she asked about her grandsons, Bradley said, oh, I stuck him in the cooler, stuck him in a trash bag, threw him in the trash. The baby they had just cut out of her freaking womb. Detective Piscor asked Cortney that if Bradley is paying Rich back, why cut the baby out? And she said, quote unquote, because if he would have left the baby in there and had somebody found her before, he would have survived. He would have thought. Cortney was asked why not just cut the baby out and kill it? And why take it? And she said that he told her the baby wasn't breathing when he pulled him out. Again, she was asked why he'd take it. And now she answers it was because he didn't want Rich to see they were together. She admitted she did not know what that meant. So if they found the baby and they were able to determine if the baby was breathing, I think it would be different charges. But again, at this point, I don't know like how much they would be able to get from the baby, because if the baby is in the weather conditions out there like trash, it might be too late. When asked about where the baby is now, Cortney said that he put him in a blue cooler, in a trash bag, and into a GFL container. She confirmed that she's talking about a residential GFL trash receptacle. Oh, wow. Cortney said that she was never at the location where the body was found because he wouldn't let her. She doesn't know how many times he went to the location. When asked if she was killed at the location she was found or at the end of her driveway, she answers she doesn't know, but said it wasn't in her driveway because he pulled away quickly with her. Cortney said that he walked out of the truck and not the house to get her out of the truck. Oh, confirming that it was from the escape and into the F-150. When Detective Piscor reminded Cortney that she knew where the knife was at, she said he threw it in the dumpster at Cadillac Shores. When asked when he had done that, she first announced that it was her hunting knife. She said it was probably like a week after that the knife was put into the dumpster. She did not know what had happened to the disposable scalpel, adding she had no clue and wished she knew. Detective Voss asked Cortney what she was looking for in an immunity agreement, what she was afraid of, and then confronted her that she had provided a lot of misinformation to the police. She reassured us she would cooperate the whole way. Detective Piscor pointed out her obstruction of the investigation, and she agrees. When asked about the seat covers, Cortney said Bradley burned them. She also said that Bradley went out and cleaned the truck, specifically mentioning the dash. She described that the cloth was burned and the bucket was taken back into the house. Cortney didn't think the floor in the truck was cleaned. Cortney was asked about the Kimmy stuff, and she suggested that Kimberly doesn't know anything. She was just trying to feel important. Detective Voss confronted Cortney that she was the person who told us recently that Kimberly was in the black car. She reported that Bradley came up with a story about Kimberly. Cortney said she knew that Kimberly told us that she hit Cortney, that she hit her. Oh, so Cortney hit Rebecca and hid her body. When asked about how she knows that, Kimberly told us this. Cortney said that she told Ashley and reported Ashley is Rich's baby mama. Ashley has a child with Rich. Dang. This is crazy. Everyone's sleeping with everyone and having babies with everyone. Cortney said that all that Kimberly did was lie to the police and had no involvement. She also said that Rich was also not involved, but did say she didn't know if he deleted anything from Rebecca's phone or not. Detective Piscor asked about a text message about not allowing anyone from the state of Michigan on her property, and Rebecca saying that they should talk about that, so she is unclear on what that means. Cortney denied sending such message. Detective Voss asked when she first learned what had actually happened, and she said it was after the body was found. Detective Piscor then pointed out she would have covered herself if she had cooperated on Monday at Mount Pleasant. Detective Sergeant Voss asked how Bradley told her how he killed Rebecca, and Cortney says, quote unquote, he told me he slit her effing throat. When he asked how she told him that he cut the baby out, she said he had one of my scalpels. She denied he said how he did it, and then said, quote unquote, he just said I cut him out and that was it. That was all he said. Detective Sergeant Voss asked about the baby being cut out, then being put in the garbage and into the blue cooler, and what he said about that. She said that he said he just took him, put him in a garbage bag, stuffed him in a cooler, and threw him in a trash dumpster. She knows that it was a specific cooler because his work cooler is gone. No, because you probably did that too. dude. What the heck? She knows the size of a lunchbox size cooler. She shows the size as a lunchbox size cooler and described it as a soft sided cooler with hard plastic inside to keep the side supported and has a black strap. Cortney reported the garbage bags came from her house, and she knows this because she counts her garbage bags and noticed that 2 of her garbage bags are gone. Wow. So it was like one of those coolers with like you can carry on your arm on your shoulder. They cut the baby out and then did that. What? This is sick. The hunting knife is described by Cortney as being green, having a serrated blade on one side and a flat blade on the other side, and is a fixed blade, not a folding knife. She assured that Bradley used that knife. The knife was purchased at Walmart within the last year, and she provided a description of it. When asked if she noticed any items missing out of Kimberly's purse, she didn't report any. Cortney denied that the Bentleys knows anything. We took a break and moved Cortney to another room. On Sunday, November 30th, Detective Voss and I began a second recorded interview with Bradley. We reminded Bradley that the rights were discussed earlier still applied. Detective Piscore notified Bradley that Cortney was putting it all on him. He broke down details that Cortney had provided. Detective Piscore explains how the investigation has come down to involving himself and Cortney. The detective explains how he believes it went down and how evidence will support the investigation. An appeal to Bradley was made that he needed to tell the truth. Bradley is confronted with how much gas he put in the truck when he went to the gas station on Sunday after leaving the hospital, and he reported $5. When asked about information he feels we should know that we haven't already discussed, Bradley reports that he knows his lunch cooler is missing and describes it as being blue and thinks it's an Oregon Trail brand. He said it's big enough to hold an 8-pack of pop bottles. His description of the cooler is basically the same as Cortney's. He estimates the cooler has been missing for 2.5 weeks. Bradley is not aware of Cortney counting their garbage bag because of Bentley's use of them. We confront Bradley that Cortney is blaming him for dumping the body and putting the fetus in his lunchbox. It is explained that she is attempting to place the blame on him. I cannot believe this. Bradley is confronted with the statement he made in his first interview that Rebecca was stabbed. Detective Voss asked him about the statement again and how he knows she was stabbed. Detective Piscore pointed out that both he and Cortney have reported on the scalpel and that you don't need to make a stabbing motion with a scalpel to slice someone open. Oh, geez, wait, so they stabbed her to death and then used a scalpel to cut the baby out? Or did they use a knife for both? It is pointed out that Cortney said he's threatening her, including in the parking lot prior to them leaving for their interviews on Monday. It is also shared with him that she identified that it was revenge for Rich turning on him last year on his SOR violation, to which he responded, "That's bullshit." It is explained that what Cortney had said about why the baby was cut out of Rebecca during a revenge murder doesn't make sense. We reminded him of the NICU story and her attempts to get custody of Kimberly and Rebecca's children. So Courtney's just a sick mother who didn't deserve to have children, and then she wants all the children to be raped, and then she wants to take the custody of Kimberly and Rebecca's children so she can raise them just like herself. Oh my God. Bradley begins to tell us, quote unquote, "I'm sure Courtney stabbed her because she did have a hunting knife. He reported the case for the knife went into the trash bin and he thinks it might still be in the trash bin. He identified that the knife went into the trash at the Cadillac Shores. He reports that Courtney is the one who cut the baby out of Rebecca. He confirms that he witnessed this and it had taken place right where she is laying out on the trails behind the house. He confirms this is the reason he had told an officer to check the trails behind the house. He reported that he knew Rebecca had a bunch of leaves on her because Courtney buried her in the leaves where she was found." Oh my gosh. Bradley confirmed that a scalpel from the bedroom was used. When asked if the baby was alive when he cut the baby out, he responded, "No." Well, I think the baby wasn't alive because they had stabbed her so many times and she's probably, she was already dying and bleeding out. And so I'm wondering if the baby just didn't get any more oxygen. And so they cut the baby out and the baby was already dead. This seems like a movie, dude. He confirmed that it was just the two of them that were present. When Detective Voss asked when she stabbed her, where did she stab her? And Bradley said, in the truck. When asked what location on Rebecca's body had Cortney stabbed her, he responded he didn't know as he jumped out of the truck. Bradley reported that Rebecca had gotten into the white truck voluntarily. That's a lie. He confirmed legitimate and he was unaware the plan was to stab her. Bradley denied that there was any plan of this. While in the pickup, Bradley said he was driving. Cortney was in the passenger seat and Rebecca was in the middle. He claimed not to know what Cortney had told Rebecca to get her in the truck. Initially, Bradley was in the house with Bentley. He said he went outside to get away from everything so he didn't have to worry about Rebecca coming in. He denied getting a phone call from Cortney that they were in the driveway. When he got outside, Cortney and Rebecca were in the Escape, and Cortney said she blew out a tire on the Escape, so they got in the truck. From here, they get on the trail to the woods because the truck doesn't have a valid plate. Bradley said that Cortney was mad because Rebecca was always bad-mouthing her and wouldn't give her a chance to be a mom. Bradley confirmed that Cortney wanted the baby for herself, despite Cortney wanting the baby. Wanted the baby for herself. Despite Cortney wanting the baby, Bradley said it was unrealistic to expect that Cortney would be allowed to adopt any baby. Bradley described that the actual stabbing began when Cortney just grabbed the knife and started stabbing her. The knife had been down on Cortney's right. He said she stabbed her in the chest as far as he knew, but he jumped out of the truck when Cortney started swinging, so he wasn't sure. Bradley knew they were on the trails and said he would take officers to the scene. Detective Voss asked at what point did they realize Rebecca is dead, and he identified that it was after Cortney cut the baby out of her. He said that Cortney tried CPR on the baby. Why? Just no care for her daughter. No care for her daughter. Bradley said that Rebecca was not in the truck when Cortney cut the baby out of her. He said that Cortney tricked her to get out of the truck and made her start walking after she had already been stabbed. Rebecca walked behind the truck, but is unable to run due to her pregnancy. When Detective Voss asked what Cortney did to kill Rebecca, he explained that Cortney had Rebecca lay down as she was still alive and cut the baby out of her. Bradley said he was beside the trail telling Cortney that she doesn't need to do that and that's not right. They do not have the bag or the cooler that the baby is eventually put in at this time. Now the baby is cut out. Bradley said they just left Rebecca there. He identified he couldn't tell if she was dead or not. Cortney decided that they should head to the house and Cortney's holding the baby on her lap as Bradley drives. Bradley said the baby never took a breath and he never heard the baby cry. It took about 5 minutes to get back to the house. Bradley stated that Cortney took the baby into the house and into her bedroom, where she's trying to perform CPR on the baby, which is on a towel on the bed. He also said that he tried to perform CPR on the baby by doing chest compressions and breathing into his mouth. He said this went on for about 15 minutes after they arrived home. Whether that's like all a lie or not, like bringing a dead baby back to your house like that is sick. Bradley reported that Cortney went into the kitchen, got a garbage bag, and placed the baby in a garbage bag and went outside with the baby. He identified that the cooler was in the bed of the white truck and he saw the baby go into the cooler. He explained that the baby went into the cooler because the cooler can be unzipped and it had the baby in it and dispose of the color. Bradley said that same night he is with Cortney, who is now driving the truck, and they went and disposed of the first, and they put the baby in a GFL tote at the house north of the residence where there had been some logging done recently. Bradley denied burning the seat covers from the truck and said Cortney burned them. He said he cleaned the inside of the truck using a gray bucket and some bleach and water. He denied cleaning the floor and believes there will be blood on the floor of the truck. Bradley denied placing the phone on the 2-track, but again said he found the phone on the 2-track. He did agree that he had the 550 phone on his person on Monday, November 3rd. Detective Voss confronts Bradley that if Cortney told him to do this, we want him to tell us now. He did. When Detective Piscor asked Bradley about the card found with Rebecca, he said he didn't know anything about it and couldn't recall what it was, but knew it was on social media. He did not see a card when he left the area. He also did not see another weapon or tools when he was at the scene or anything else. Bradley doesn't know if anyone has been to the scene where Rebecca's body was since she was killed, and he denied he had been back to the scene. When Bradley was asked about Rebecca not having shoes on, he appeared surprised by that. Bradley gives a description of where Rebecca's body was in relation to the trail and where things had occurred. He denied that Cortney had asked him to position the truck so the truck lights would assist. He said the lights shining around the side of the front of the truck was enough illumination for Cortney to cut the baby out. When he left, the body was still on the same hill. Cortney covered Rebecca's with leaves, but denied branches were placed on her. At the time, the baby was on a towel next to Cortney. Questioning the presence of the towel, Bradley asked if he thinks Cortney planned this, and he said, "I have a feeling she did," but never told him of a plan. Bradley did not see Cortney place a towel or the hunting knife in the truck. Using a Wexford County map, Bradley showed the route of travel he took and approximately where they were. He agreed he could take officers out and show them where things had taken place on November 3rd. While discussing if there was blood on any of the clothing he or Cortney had been wearing that night, he identified that when he got home, Cortney changed into a nightgown. Previously, he said they had gone out and disposed of the baby and knife that night. Now, when asking about this, Bradley said that the baby stayed in the cooler that night on the back porch. He now reported it was Wednesday, November 5th, when the items were placed in dumpsters, specifically because Thursday is garbage day. No way. The baby was on the porch in a cooler? He said that it was Cortney who placed the cooler with the baby in it in the garbage tote. They were in the escape when they discarded the knife and the baby. Bradley said one of the things he believes Cortney said after she couldn't revive the baby was, quote unquote, "that bitch killed my baby." Bradley, meaning Rebecca. Bradley reported that he watched Cortney. The knife was placed in the glove box of the Ford Escape, and he believes there will likely be blood located in the glove box. On Sunday, November 30th, Detective Voss and I began a second recorded interview with Cortney. As she enters, this is now the second interview with freaking lying Cortney. As she enters the interview room, Cortney reports she's ready to go home. When it's pointed out that she is saying it's all Bradley, when asked what she thinks Bradley had been saying, she reported that he's probably going to say it's both of them. And we confirm her statement and say that we know they are both present. Cortney denies that she wanted the baby for herself. She admitted that Bradley brought the baby to the house and told her that the baby was not breathing. Cortney said she told him to call 911, but Bradley said they weren't doing that. She denied getting involved and said it was because she has Bentley and can't put herself in a position like that. Cortney reported that the day the drones were flying around, the baby was in the metal shed out in the back. This is so freaking sick. Cortney said she knew that Bradley was going to try to pin this on her because he told her, "Bitch, I'll take you down with me." Cortney told us that Bentley can prove that she was home on the 3rd. Cortney is confronted with her explanation that Rebecca willingly got into the truck with Bradley to go for a ride, that he had murdered her and cut the fetus out. When confronted with the cellular telephone data and location records, Cortney announces that Bradley has taken her phone so she couldn't call the police. Cortney is confronted with her version of events being difficult to believe. Eventually, Cortney said she was going to tell us what happened. Quote unquote, "Brad took her. He brought the baby back. I tried. I didn't. I couldn't. I tried to save my grandson," and begins to cry. Detective Voss asked how Bradley took Rebecca. Cortney said he pulled her out of the car and she got in the truck. Cortney admits that she told Rebecca she was going to come with her. She places herself in the truck on the passenger side. Rebecca is in the middle and Bradley is driving. Bradley has a knife, according to her. From the house, they drove to where Bradley ended up stabbing Rebecca. She claimed not to know Rebecca was going to die that night. They keep going back and forth and pinning it on each other. Cortney places Bradley across South 25th House as she is arriving with Rebecca. Cortney admits she knows something is going down because Bradley is on foot across the road waiting for them to arrive. She reported that Bradley approached the vehicle by just walking up on her side and grabbed Rebecca by the arm and got her out of the escape, and she willingly gets into the pickup to go for a ride after he told Rebecca, "Your mom is going with us." From the house, they drive to where Rebecca gets stabbed. Cortney said that Bradley took Rebecca to get out of the truck while Cortney stayed inside. Rebecca is taken to the rear of the truck where Bradley stabbed her. At first, she said she assumed that he stabbed Rebecca because he came back with the knife all bloody. When Detective Voss asked Cortney at what point did she cut the baby out of Rebecca, she answered, "I didn't. He did, and he handed him to me." Cortney also said the baby wasn't breathing and she didn't hear him cry. Cortney claimed to have never gotten out of the truck because she didn't have her crutches or her wheelchair. Ew. Hey, Devil Dog. Good to see you, love. I'm glad you made it into the chat. Thanks for being. It's the case that the mother kills her 22-year-old. Yes, 𝗕𝗟. Yes. She claimed this was a revenge plot because she had a sexual relationship with Rich and because Rich got Bradley put in jail. She claimed that Bradley wanted to hurt Rich. When confronted with the report that she stabbed Rebecca while driving down the road, Cortney denied it. When asked how all the blood got in the truck, she answered that it was from the knife, then suggested that Rebecca got back in the truck. Eventually, Cortney admitted that she cut the baby out of Rebecca in an attempt to save him so she could take him to Rich. When she cut the baby out, Cortney said that Rebecca was still conscious and Bradley was holding the knife to her throat. She told Rebecca to lay back. "Your baby is going to die." Cortney denied that Rebecca had been stabbed while in the truck. I'm wondering what is a lie and what's not. And like, I'm wondering if Rebecca was alive and she was alive when they were cutting the baby out and then they killed her. Maybe they got her to a weakened state and then did it. Revisiting the driveway, Detective Voss asked if Bradley held the knife to her throat to get into the truck, and Cortney nodded her head in the affirmative. While in the truck, Bradley put the knife down by his side. During the ride, Detective Voss asked what is said to Rebecca, and Cortney said she told her everything is going to be okay. Cortney said she promised that Bradley wasn't going to hurt her. When they got to the area where this happens, Bradley pulled Rebecca out of the truck and he spun her around and stabbed her in the back 4 or 5 times. Bradley brings Rebecca to her side of the truck and is sitting next to the door, and Bradley ordered Rebecca to lay back down. Cortney said she told Rebecca that if she doesn't lay back, her baby is going to die. Cortney looked in the truck and saw the scalpel, so she hurried up and did it, but her grandson wasn't breathing. Cortney said she started her incision along her belly, and Bradley told her to cut downward. It would be easier. Cortney reported that Rebecca is still talking at the time, telling her to hurry up and asking if he is out. She said she told Rebecca he was out, and Rebecca told her to save him. When she got the baby out, Cortney said she had dental floss from the dash that she had put in her pocket, and she knew she was going to tie off the umbilical cord. What the hell? I think they were possessed by the devil and the meth gods. She reported tying off the umbilical cord the best that he could. Once the baby was out, she said that Bradley slit Rebecca's throat with the knife. I'm shook. I'm shook. So it was her biological mom who did this. Yeah. Next, she said Bradley used a cord from the snowplow on the truck to hook her body to the truck and pulled Rebecca down the bank, maybe 20 feet. Pulling her back off the road, she said he then covered her with leaves. Cortney said the towel was in the truck already, but she didn't know how the scalpel got into the truck. Cortney talked about how she would have to come to the sheriff's office if she had been able to give the baby to report what had happened. Discussing this, she claims that since this happened, she hasn't been able to get away from Bradley. When reminded that on Monday she was in Mount Pleasant and he was in Grayling, she could have said something then. Cortney confirmed that after she was stabbed, Rebecca never got back in the truck. She was asked about how the blood got into the truck, and Cortney reported that it was from the umbilical cord making blood fly all over. Cortney said she never stabbed Rebecca. She was only responsible for trying to save her grandson. When asked if she thought she could have tried to save her daughter, Cortney said she couldn't. When asked how many times she talked to Bradley on the ride from her house from Rich's, she reported it was only once. She identified she had the 429 phone number and that the call had lasted about 10 minutes. When Detective 𝗕𝗥𝗔𝗓𝗦 confronted Cortney with the 2 incisions, she admitted to having made to remove the baby. He asked her if she thinks Rebecca would have survived those wounds, and she said, no, probably not. Cortney admitted that about 1 to 2 months prior to having this happen, Bradley researched the procedure for cutting a baby out. I'm curious if they have like the evidence for that. Cortney said that Bradley put the items in the dumpster, but she was present in the Ford Escape for both. But she's lying too. So Cortney is asked whose idea it was to leave items at the crime scene. She said it was Brad's. She then identified that the items were Kimberly's debit card and a razor knife. Cortney reported these items were placed after Kimberly went on social media saying that Cortney and Bradley were responsible for the purpose of framing Kimberly. When pressed on the debit card, Cortney said it belonged to James, not Kimberly, and the card came from Kimberly's backpack. She said he used one of the plastic bags from her backpack to keep from getting his fingerprints on it. These items were suspected to have been placed by Bradley the day before Rebecca's body was recovered. She said he left with the Escape that day for about 20 minutes. Detective 𝗕𝗥𝗔𝗓𝗏 asked Cortney to provide some information that isn't already known that can verify her statement, and she reported, quote unquote, Brad said it was his, in reference to Rebecca's baby. Now, when it is questioned that they don't like each other, Cortney said, yes, they do. Yeah, I think Brad was raping her, maybe. Wow. Revisiting the conversation she had with Bradley a month prior about C-sections, she reported that he looked it up on his phone. When asked why they were having that discussion, Cortney answered, because that's what he said he was going to happen. She said he told her he was going to cut the baby out of Rebecca right in front of Rich. Cortney said she brushed it off. When Detective 𝗕𝗥𝗔𝗓 commented on Cortney's story about having delivered a premature baby that was down in the NICU, she denied and suggested it was a friend's baby that she was thinking about giving up. As she's being confronted with the obviousness that there was a plan for this to happen, Cortney said that Bradley had told her to pull straight in, but she didn't. She turned the corner in her driveway instead. Questioning why he told her to pull in straight, Cortney reveals that Bradley had told her if he was going to do anything, it would be right there. When he does grab Rebecca, Cortney tries to get him to stop, but she said that he had the knife to Rebecca's throat and he ordered everyone to get in the white truck. While in the truck, Rebecca slid over to Cortney asking what was going on, and she said she reassured her that Bradley just wanted to talk. Cortney described that Rebecca was calm after just having a knife held to her throat to get back in the truck. That's the end of that affidavit. Wow. This is like a case of nightmares, and I'm really concerned about, I'm sure they'll figure it out, how prosecutors and how they're going to handle this, and like how do they know who's lying and who's not. And I guess, there's some information the autopsy will give and the baby's not found. So could they even get charged for first-degree murder if there's, well, I guess it's kind of like the Brian Walsh case, huh? No body case. Ugh, I don't know what's going to happen here. This is insane. Yeah, this is a crazy ass case. I don't have the coroner report yet, Alicia. I'm going to try to get it. I do have all the other affidavits. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 affidavits from all of the other family members, but I also have the interviews they gave. So they've been interviewed by podcasters, etc. And then I have the affidavit. So I want to read the affidavit to each when they tell all their I want to read the affidavit of each one when they tell all their lies. So we're going to do 5 different parts of this, and we're going to go through all of the interviews they gave, because these people, these psychopaths, were speaking to the public before even talking to police. So I want to go through all of those affidavits, except they're all really long, and I want to go through the interview. So tomorrow's live on this case will be a part 2, and we'll get into the sister's affidavit and then her interview, and then we'll go on from there and so forth. I'm curious to see how this ends up, and they're probably not doing well without their meth in jail, which I'm really happy about. But I'm horrified. I'm disgusted. It's terrible. This is terrible. This is a horrible case. I had not read the affidavit, so I'm a little stunned. Sad horror story. Yeah, it is crazy shit. That's normal everyday shit in our lives. R.I.P. Rebecca, you know, and I'm so sad that the baby didn't even have a chance, really. Didn't. Even if he was born into this family, like, look at their family, you know? It's sad. R.I.P. baby. I think she was gonna name him Rich, baby Richie. That's what Nancy Grace said. So, allegedly, but it was a little baby boy, and they still don't have the baby's body, so I'm sure law enforcement is working on this, and I'm sure they have a manner to tell who's lying or who's not. At this point, I am kinda believing Brad. Yeah, I kinda am believing Brad as well, Alicia. I think I'm with you on that. I think that as much as Brad is a sicko, I think that the mother, with everything in her past and her track record and her being around SOs and all of that, I think that she had more motive to get rid of her daughters because she was jealous. And then the whole thing with them all being in a relationship with each other is really gross. And RIP to Rebecca and her baby. Um, I will like I said, I will be following the case, and we're going to continue this tomorrow. We do have another live that will be it for the Rebecca case today. She wanted that baby. Yeah, she wanted to be Rebecca. I think she wanted to be Rebecca and her daughter. And then she brings these SO offenders into her home, and then they end up falling in love and being predators with their daughters. So then she gets all jealous, and it's just a cycle of disgustingness. So tomorrow we will have a live on this case again. We'll start the interviews, which you guys need to hear. They're insane. And then we have Kenzie calls. I have another live coming up on Kenzie tomorrow. And then we have a live after this back to the Stephen Stearns case. So I appreciate you guys for being here. That was a long affidavit, 18 pages. Thank you all for being here and listening. Please make sure you hit the like button on the way out. I have that next live set up. And please, 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 if you're not subscribed to the second channel, please do subscribe. We will be live on there later today, having some fun. Thank you, Alicia, Bolitas, Cree, Devil Dog, Asane, Celie, Anton, everybody, Mary Beth for being here. Tippy, Sender, I saw you pop in. Thank you, and Court for being here and giving us the details just when you think you have heard it all. I know. I always think that too when we cover like a brutal. This has to top it though. I think, as of the recent cases we've covered. And thank you, Vanjie, for donating the super chat. I really, really appreciate you. So please make sure you tap that like button and hype button after. Leave a comment if you missed the beginning of the live. Please replay. Always drop a comment, and I will see you guys in about 30 minutes on the next live for Stephen Stearns, and then we will go to the second channel for Melly After Dark. So I appreciate you guys for being here, and I will see you shortly.